Well, it's about that time, everybody. It's the nightcap of the ESPN triple header. I'm beyond happy to have Alec Nava here with me. We're going to go ahead and give you this game between the Seattle Kraken and the Vegas Golden Knights. It's a very special one end tonight because it's the banner raising ceremony and the rings that you get to see for some of the Vegas Golden Knights here. I think we're going to get to see those. We're definitely going to see the banner as the players are coming out onto the ice. And Alec, we talked about it with Bill Foley. Again, it was what, 6 years ago when he said this team is going to go ahead and lift it. And when boy, oh boy, he called a shot like Babe Ruth. That's exactly what they did.
And playoffs in 3, cup in 6, even though they made the playoffs in their inaugural year, which shattered the previous bar for expansion teams. Now the bar is basically looking at the Vegas Golden Knights to see what they've done. The Kraken made it in their second year. They made it to the second round. There's progress for Seattle and for Vegas. They're now the new bar for these expansion teams. We see Mark Stone hoisting that fabled trophy here at the Fortress.
I don't care what team you root for here, my friend. That's a beautiful sight to see the captaincy come out with the Stanley Cup. I really can't believe it. I've been to T-Mobile Arena once on that side when I got to watch the Red Wings score a game-winning goal with Anthony Mantha, of all people. Now he's with the Washington Capitals. So it seems like so many years ago before COVID, but now you got all these fans out there celebrating as a team is following Stone across the ice. I mean, it really is here, Alec. Night one of the NHL 23-24 season. We're going to start this off with an absolute bang.
Yes, we are. Given the first 2 games, they've been absolutely brilliant. Even though they didn't go to overtime, it was very close until the very end, with the Tampa Bay Lightning edging out the Nashville Predators, and with the Chicago Blackhawks coming back on the Pittsburgh Penguins. We're getting another one of those Vegas night presentations.
And leave it,
like all those casinos.
Yeah, leave it to the Vegas Golden Knights to have the Stanley Cup on a pedestal table and then spinning a slot machine.
Truly the Vegas way. With the slot machine, they spin it, and then it shows 3 Stanley Cups all across, and then out comes the banner. Here it comes.
So the one that they've been waiting for from 2016 to be in the conference championships, that wasn't enough. Now the 2023 banner is being unveiled, and the Vegas Golden Knights, they're all standing across the ice. The fans are standing, their phones are out. This is a hell of a ceremony right now. And again, whether you like those mustard golds, I know they've changed those jerseys a little bit over that. It doesn't matter here, Alec. I think this might be, like the team last year, this might be one of the best Vegas teams that they'll ever have.
It has been, especially considering the run of success that they had throughout the postseason, with 5 playoff appearances for their first 6 years. They're trying to make it 6 times in their first 7 years of existence. This is truly the new bar for expansion teams. Though I'm silently hoping that perhaps in one of the intermissions, maybe a FaceTime call from Riley Smith.
That would be cool on that side. I think you definitely have to go ahead and take that in. Again, he just played against the Chicago Blackhawks on that side. So that's definitely a good shout on your side to be able to get that all in. Because I remember last year and covering some of the stuff with Cooper Hopkins and the Colorado Calgary side, they showed Nazem Kadri getting that inside box with the ring and the video message from the team. So I certainly think Riley Smith is going to be getting something like that.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that perhaps a FaceTime call would be nice. Though no doubt would he be getting a Stanley Cup ring when he comes to play. He and his Penguins coming over when they visit the Vegas Golden Knights, that he get his ring. I know if you're talking NBA, it took so long for Danny Green to get his NBA Finals ring from the Toronto Raptors, and he got his Lakers ring before his Raptors ring.
I gotta tell you too, the picture that we just saw of the banner raising below, the team kneeling underneath it behind the slot machine, that was actually a really cool picture there by Vegas. Good job for them to get all that stuff done. Let me give you the starting lineup in particular on this side. So this is just CBS Sports for the depth chart side of it, but I'll throw that in nonetheless. So head coached by Dave Hakstol is the Seattle Kraken. So Matty Beniers, Jared McCann, Jordan Eberle, Vince Dunn, and Adam Larson. Alex Wimberg, Jaden Shorts, Andre Burakovsky again makes his return. We can't forget about that. Jamie Alexiak and Will Borgen. It's Yanni Gourde, Ellie Tolvin, and Oliver Bjorkstrand with Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, Brandon Tanev, and Kari Yamamoto. Brian Dumoulin and Justin Schultz will be the back-end defense with Philip Grubauer in net, and head coached by Bruce Cassidy are the Vegas Golden Knights, the defending Stanley Cup champions. Sounds like this: Jack Eichel, Ivan Barbashev, Jonathan Marceau with Nick Hague and Alex Pietrangelo, Chandler Stevenson, Brett Hart, and Mark Stone with Braden McNabb and Shea Theodore, William Karlsson, Paul Cotter, Michael Amadio, Nick Wall, William Carrier, and Pavel Dorofeyev with Ben Hutton and Braden Paschal on the back end defense, and Aiden Hill will be the goalie in net. Again, Aiden Hill, from his postseason success here, Alec, he's the one that's out in front of Logan Thompson, who made the All-Star team last year.
And I feel a little bad for Thompson, given that he wasn't able to play for the Golden Knights down the stretch. But kudos to Aiden Hill for carrying up and picking up where Logan Thompson left off. Yeah. That was a remarkable goaltending job, with Hill coming in upon Laurent Brossoit's injury in Game 3 against the Oilers in the second round, and he was able to pick up that momentum. You do notice in this lineup, we haven't mentioned two names, Alec Martinez and Zach Whitecloud. They are out on the IR with upper body injuries. They are day-to-day. That's their status.
So day-to-day, and you kind of wonder if all the hockey that they played, not just last season, but the years prior, especially with Alec Martinez, if that's going to catch up with them, because let's face it, you're going to have to deal with some injuries. But if we're talking about injuries, especially for the Vegas Golden Knights, they want to get away from all the goaltending injuries, because, again, it was Logan Thompson, Aiden Hill, Laurent Brossoit, I think Yuri Patera, and Jonathan Quick last year. So hopefully the carousel for Vegas can be a little bit less.
Yeah, that should be the case for this year, because if you remember, the only other time in which they made it to the Stanley Cup final, they had a similar goaltending carousel between Marc-Andre Fleury, Malcolm Subban, and Oscar Dask, along with one other goaltender, I forgot his name. But Malcolm Subban, he's mostly seen time in the AHL nowadays, and Fleury, he was remarkable throughout that expansion and the inaugural season of this expansion team for the Vegas Golden Knights, in which they were named the Golden Misfits. That was an amazing season. Now, for this year, I highly doubt that Robin Lehner comes back. I don't imagine him coming back to the Golden Knights, given his situation. So it's mostly going to be Hill and Logan Thompson on that end. But Isaiah Seville, who is one of their AHL goaltenders, right, he's injured and is on the IR to begin with.
And again, for the Robin Lehner situation, I can't speak to everything. I know when I look at Cap Friendly, kind of shows it out, but it's the double hip surgery for Robin Lehner. I know he's got some off-ice issues, but that cap hit that Robin Lehner possesses might be something that Vegas, I guess, on the hush-hush, hopes that Lehner will stay on the IR side, because they just can't afford that right now.
It can't, because cap space is at a premium in today's NHL, with the cap going up $1 million as opposed to last year, and it's expected to go up for the coming years, probably by as much as $4 million for next season, so we'll bring it up to $87.5 million. They can't afford Lehner's cap hit, because with the LTIR, they'll have $1.845 million of cap space to account for. If they activate him, they'll be over the cap, so they can't activate him.
No, they can't. And on the other side, I just want to talk about this really quickly before we get into puck drop, Alec. And again, he pulled double duty covering 2 games on this side. And I did not ask Alec to have to provide the color commentary, but he's been kind to do so. So this might count as our game of the week before he gets back into baseball and everything else. So please make sure you give Alec a round of applause or leave those comments in by the time I get everything posted. Philip Grubauer. He's going to be the starter in net. No Martin Jones for the Seattle Kraken anymore.
And that puts up Joey DeCord as the backup goaltender spot for the Seattle Kraken with the departure of Martin Jones. And with Chris Driedger, he's trying to make a comeback to the NHL, but he'll start the season on the AHL with the Coachella Valley Firebirds. If you remember that DeCord for Coachella Valley throughout the NHL playoffs. They eventually lost to Hershey in overtime of Game 7. That was a classic.
I ended up covering that game, and I absolutely loved it on the NHL Network side. Joey Decord had 2 shutouts and a 1-goal against loss as they lost in Game 7 of the Hershey Bears, which is the Washington Capitals affiliate. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And look, I can't really predict what's going to happen because we didn't expect the previous result from the Blackhawks and the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Lightning were able to take care of business, but as Alec talked about, it was a much closer game on that side than we even expected. In a 5-3 win for Tampa, as Johansson was able to get his first win. And now it's going to be a Vegas and Seattle nightcap on an ESPN triple header. So tomorrow I will have the coverage between the Calgary Flames and the Winnipeg Jets that will be at the Saddle Dome. Now, Cooper did just message me and say he was feeling under the weather also on that side. So maybe I'll have to carry that whole way through, but he plans on joining. Thursday, I know Alec will be covering some baseball stuff. I'm planning on, as long as the internet holds up, in between the Detroit Red Wings and the New Jersey Devils at Prudential on Thursday. So you got Seattle, Vegas today. You got Winnipeg, Calgary tomorrow, and you got Detroit, New Jersey on Thursday. And then by the time this weekend hits, I'll have completely new equipment. So if it can hold for a couple more days and we get our opening week streams, that'll be good. And then Alec and I will be in discourse as far as our game of the week, because our plan to you is to be able to at least broadcast a game a week. We'll probably take a break together for the World Series. I know he'll be happy to jump on that, and then we'll get back into it as well. So plan for us to work together a lot throughout this year, as I'm really looking forward to it. Alec's been able to bring the knowledge not across the NHL, but all across all the sports, and he's a wonderful listen. So make sure you give a follow to Dattens or Alec as we're getting into the national anthems.
Now, as the American National Anthem is played, speaking of baseball, the Texas Rangers, they sweep the Baltimore Orioles. Every AL East team that made it to the postseason, 0-7.
Brutal.
As the Rangers await either one of the Houston Astros or the Minnesota Twins. I plan on doing the Atlanta Braves and Philadelphia Phillies Game 4 on Thursday. You want to tune into that one? So stay tuned. Game 4 at Citizens Bank Park at the Broad Street Sports Complex in Philadelphia.
If you're the AL East, how much trash talking are you doing now?
Not a lot, that's what I would say, considering where the Blue Jays were at, facing up against a Twins team that hasn't won a playoff game in their last 18 tries, 19 years, by the way, or in a playoff series in 21 years.
Absolutely crazy. We know that anything can happen in the baseball playoffs. Again, I was on record with Alec. I went ahead and said my predictions were Texas in the World Series in the AL and Atlanta in the NL. But I did say when Alec was getting through part of his broadcast today that I think whoever wins in the National League between the Phillies and the Braves will go to the World Series. That's a hell of a first-round matchup, as Bill Foley has ended up getting the horn all set up here. Again, he's the master prognosticator here and getting everything else done for this team. I don't care whether or not it's an expansion team. Again, you got everything done in year one. You went to the Cup final. You finished it off last year, and you actually win the whole thing. And we are getting set for puck drop. It's Aiden Hill, 11-4, 217 goals against, 932, and 2 shutouts with his tier extension against Philip Grubauer, 17-14-4. 285, 895. My only question for Philip here on this side, Alec, is he going to be Philip Grubauer 2.0 like he was in the playoffs?
That's the big question about how he would go on based on what we saw with the Colorado Avalanche and throughout that postseason run where he went amazingly strong against the Colorado Avalanche as we welcome along my good friend dating back to, and we go back to elementary school, Andrew. He's connecting on board.
Welcome, my friend.
I wanted to get this one in before the puck drop because this is a question for both you, Alec, and John. How many more years do we as fans have to wait before we're blessed with a Tigers-Pirates World Series?
End of the decade, maybe? 7 or 8 at least?
7 or 8 decades?
I don't know, but take it away, John.
So now we're officially underway after the icing, and Alec will be a little bit ahead of me. You got 19:25 to go in the first is Oliver Bjorkstrand trying to get around Nick Waugh, and this is intercepted by Yanni Gourde from a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning as a slap shot gets bounced up into the air and out of play.
They're looking at Vegas and how well they have done last season. They were just the second team to win the cup, about a top 60-point score in the regular season, just behind the 03 New Jersey Devils. That Devils team saw all their games won by the home team between them and what was then known as the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. Do you remember that series and the Paul Career goal?
I do remember that. Is that the one where it was like on the floor, off the floor on the board goal? That was a nasty one.
Like Gary Bourne?
Yes, that was. I wish he would come back to hockey. Him and Bill Clement. That's memories of my childhood on that side. So minus 165 in this game on the money line for Vegas, plus 140 for Seattle. I think it could be a good bet tonight. I expect Vegas to win, but I think this might be an OT game tonight.
Perhaps our lone OT game in a series of games in which we thought that these games were going to go to OT, but then we haven't seen that just yet. We just have to see it just yet now.
So Alec Martinez, as Alec Nava was talking about, is not in the lineup, but he led the NHL with 244 blocked shots. Beniers on the doorstep, and he gets robbed by Hill. One-timer goes back toward the right side of the dot. This is picked up now by Vegas in transition. Chandler Stevenson try to go ahead and get this off the backhand as Captain Mark Stone will get a shove there on Adam Larson. And this is spun around the kick plate now. And keep in mind, Alex a little bit more fresh than I am as far as these calls, but I got to do my business next week with the Waterford Sharks here locally for semi-pro action. So I'm going to have to call some hockey games over the next few days and get things going. 51-22-9 for Vegas last year, 46-28-8. Two teams that have had at least 100 points as the Kraken lost in Game 7 of the Dallas Stars, courtesy of a Wyatt Johnston goal. The puck goes all the way back to Aiden Hill, and he holds on.
Hey, John, I have to ask, how are you feeling about Grand Rapids this year?
I'm feeling pretty good on that side. I know that Stevie Y is trying to get everything else more complete down there. You might see some time for Simone Edmondson because of some of the injuries. I feel like they're going to be pretty good. My only question is, who's going to come up from Grand Rapids, whether it be Reimer or Lyon? They're carrying all three right now in the Red Wings category because, like I told Alec, somebody's got to spell Ville Husso.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're a year away from being a year away.
I think that's very well said, my friend, on that side, and we'll see where it goes. I got the Red Wings just missing the playoffs last year, but when we get a commercial break, I'll detail it, especially in the remission of their schedule. So Ivan Barbashev, who was an absolute monster from the St. Louis Blues, comes over to Vegas. He loses the puck, and this is picked up now by Alex Pietrangelo, former Blues captain. As this goes skate to stick and behind the net, now Nick Hague gets stick lifted. Tolvanen tries to get to it, and now this is played off the backhand. Jonathan Marchessault will make a nice backhanded shovel pass as Bruce Cassidy's squad goes ahead and makes some changes. And again, Alec, I'm just throwing it out there. Anytime I see Jack Eichel out on the ice, I understand a lot of people say he didn't score a lot of goals last year in the postseason, but I've seen him turn into a complete two-way demon.
Yeah, it was well-rounded defensive game that he developed under Bruce Cassidy. Many were talking about him being a one-dimensional offensive player back when he was in Buffalo, but he's developed that two-way game over time under Bruce Cassidy. Well done by Cassidy on that part.
Yeah, and I feel like this trade, as we keep going back into the history side of it, it might look worse and worse for Buffalo on that end, even though you got Alex Tuck and Peyton Krebs. Here's a slap shot. This one goes way wide near the right side of the end line, and I think a penalty is coming for slashing. We'll see who it's on.
It's going to be on Paul Cotter. That's what Wes McCauley is going to signal. He's one of our two referees for tonight. Chris Lee is the other one. Our linesmen, Brandon Garland and Scott Cherry.
Thank you for all of that inside information, my friend. I didn't have that all in front of me, but I do see Paul Cotter going to the box now. The ESPN box score is up. Aiden Hill has stopped 3 out of 3 so far. And on the other end, nothing to be listed because there aren't any saves yet on the other way.
So far, Seattle has been testing Vegas this far, and a good job on them so far in this game to get the early pressure on Vegas, the defending champions, as they look to get their quest for a title defense here. We have not seen that since the 21 Lightning. Yeah.
21 Lightning. Again, I'm also thinking about the Pittsburgh Penguins. years before that, and then the Red Wings several years before that. So it doesn't happen very often. Jordan Eberle lost the puck, and this one gets shoveled back now here for Schultz. So Schultz has it on the Kraken puck. Go ahead.
Yeah, going back to your Eichel point, and the goals back in the playoffs are really a superficial statistic because he was just not asked to do as much in a Vegas uniform as he was in Buffalo. And you got to understand he's playing more as a team here. He's not asked to be a one-man circus in Vegas, and he's playing more of his game. And that's how they're a tough team to beat. Even with this power play right now, they're getting guys covering spaces. I'm liking Vegas again this year. They're a tough team to beat.
Yes, they are. Bjorkstrand right there. And I think that's a good point by you because, again, all you need Eichel to do is be able to do his job. He knows an incredibly talented hockey player alongside a lot of other incredibly talented players for Vegas, and that's exactly how you want to build a team. So Yamamoto getting some power play time here. Maybe a little bit of a Daniel Sprong replacement as this is played in across the wall. Gets stick lifted, but Seattle trying to keep it alive. Yamamoto can't be dispossessed. Plays this off the backhand near the right side dot. Over Bjorkstrand, Vince Dunn. They play catch near the right side dot. Now Yamamoto. He's going to work his way in behind the net. Here's a pass across, and the slap shot goes wide and all the way down the ice. Bjorkstrand gets a chance to recollect this now across the red line. Tolverted now for Shorts. The Shorts tries to set it back here for Ellie. Picked up now by Larson. They'll play this across an open wing as this goes across the embankment. Vegas will go ahead and recollect. Try to make a play across his knees as Stone keeps it alive. Here's Connor out of the box, and they'll fire a wrist shot that goes way wide. That's Seattle. They can't clear it, but they'll pick it back up now with Larson as it picks it in across the Golden Knight helmet logo. Larson will drive it in the end. Again, it's been 3-0 here for Seattle. Vegas has yet to get on the front foot, but they haven't conceded much with 14:20 left to go in the first. As this is played now, in between Vegas trying to get this out of their own end. It's just a massive humanity. Wenberg being pinned against the boards. Keegan Kolesar got Turbo in a headlock. Larson will spin back. He'll recollect, and Seattle will look to get started again as this is played in off the wall. Now working behind the net for Yanni as he gets picked off by Ivan Barbashev. Barbashev tries to get a piece of it now, but this will go back across the neutral zone. Will Seattle be the last to it? They'll play it back and recollect. As Will Borgen will get this one stretched across with an outstretched pass. Aiden Hill will play this in behind his net as Vegas will look to re-corral on the mustard gold. Again, we're at T-Mobile Arena. Alec Knob is giving the color side. I'm John, your play-by-play man here for today and for the next couple days. If everything else holds up on my end as Borgen has this one, plays it in off the wall as this is bounced in, center back into Vegas' end one more time. Intercepted in behind the net. Looking for a cross pass. Larson as this shot goes high across the post. And reset now by Vegas as they'll play this. Off the backhand, Barbashev tries to get around 4 Seattle Kraken. He takes a dive, trying to go ahead and stickhead this away from the zone and now into the neutral. Here's a chance for Vince Dunn off the drop pass. Looking good here. And Burakovsky with a one-timer. And this is knocked away by the right foot there of Aiden Hill and sent back in an 88-mile-an-hour slapper. Recollected now. Off by Vegas. Here's Chandler Stevenson. He's turned into a two-way demon. Scores! Great passing play, and Stevenson gets the first goal of the season for the Golden Knights.
Go for a dive, man. I mean, that was an outstanding passing play after all those shots by Seattle on Vegas' end. It felt like Seattle was in position to strike first for God knows how long. But then after that, here comes Taylor Stevenson, and he's diving right in like Michael Phelps, right by Philip Grubauer after he just tapped that pass from Brett Haugen right into the net. What a way to start off for Vegas. Holding their own in the defensive zone, and then shutting Seattle down, and then quickly striking right back for the red light in first.
I got to go ahead and say, Alec, on that side, boy, does that feel, and I know it hasn't been that long ago, but that feels like a playoff element type goal for Chandler Stevenson, who did so much of the heavy lifting last year across all these players, not to mention a great face-off man, someone that plays on a second or third line that could easily be a top-line player. Again, he's the type of guy that you would expect to score the first goal of the game.
You would expect him to score the first goal. The production that he's been putting up, he did play first-line minutes before Jack Eichel came along, and he can still play first-line minutes whenever he gets inserted right into that situation. But they don't need him to do so. He's on their second line, can fit anywhere in this lineup.
38-5-3 is Vegas when scoring first, and when they score 3 or more on that side, I don't believe they've lost a game in over the last couple of years, and that was dating back into the playoffs when they gave you that stat. So 5-1 is the shot board, and 1 of 1 is Chandler Stevenson as the towels continue to wave as the goal is being announced. So Shea Theodore's got it now. Here's an outstretched pass. Here comes Vegas again. Good save by Grubauer. And the second shot goes wide and behind the net. That was very dangerous, already being 2-0 on 2 shots. Seattle's got to find a way to answer here. They started the game pretty well, but Chandler Stevenson got Vegas on the goal-scoring board here. As this is picked up right into the neutral zone, here's a drop pass from Nick Waugh. The shot goes wide and off the left side of the glass. Seattle trying to go left to right in this period, and the road away whites with the teal on the side and the black pants. You got the mustard gold black pants and white striping for Vegas at home at T-Mobile Arena. As this is kept in, just barely though. Good work there by Vince Dunn. This is centered in behind the net. Bjorkstrand trying to find it. It'll fall to Hill, shoveled away from the crease, and we got a call on the ice.
I thought that Vegas was going to little bit break apart defensively there. On that sequence, I thought Seattle was going to strike right back. But then I believe that penalty might have saved Vegas for the moment as we await the call from Chris Lee as we're going to commercial break.
So Seattle, nonetheless, right now that I see, they are going back to the power play. We'll tell you who that's officially on. We go to break, but we know right now Chandler Stevenson's made it 1-0.
I believe they were showing Ben Hodgins, so it could be him going to the box. But we'll await official word when we come right back to this. So the Rangers, they beat the Orioles 7-1. They'll wait for either the Astros or Twins. Perhaps an all-Texas ALCS is in play.
I know on that side, Jonathan is also listening, and I know he's followed some of the broadcasts. He's listening to some of our baseball stuff. I think that's the one that we've all been waiting on, is the all-Texas battle in the ALCS.
Yes, sir. And Houston won today, 9-1. I think we take the game tomorrow, and they're pitching a home run pitcher, and we're pitching Ricky. And that'll set up for a good ALCS.
I think it will. There's going to be a lot of runs across the board, I would imagine, between the two teams. Look, I understand Texas as far as everything else we know about some of their pitching. Some of their pitching needs help, but they've done enough in this postseason to kind of turn it around a little bit. But I would still lean with the Astros because I think you have to.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm worried about is not if, but when it's not re-signing George Peter's going to catch up with these Astros.
That's a big piece. That's no doubt about that.
And Jonathan, how nervous are you about potentially having to face a team like the Phillies or the Braves in the World Series?
Potentially, I was potentially nervous today with running out Javier today. But we got a well-rested hand today for Houston, so. And Dusty's already said he's not using Verlander tomorrow, which is an extra day of rest for him.
So I'm going to jump back in here now with William Carrier. He's going on hold against Yanni Gourde. So Seattle, last season their power play was under 20%, 21st out of 32 teams. Matty Beniers got to circle back around. Yes, I got the jersey on and the Cooper Hopkins side from the Seattle store. So we need Matty to come through here as Eberle, Burakovsky, now Eberle up in the air. This one tries to get handled back down for Burakovsky. Jared McCann, the 140 goal scorer for the Seattle Kraken, He's out on the ice. And again, Alec, it's just good to see him back out on the ice as Jack Eichel. This one gets bounced away, but Jared McCann will pick this one back up. And now hopefully McCann is completely healthy and away from the concussion issues.
Yeah, good to see him back 100% and back onto the ice for Seattle. We really missed him, even though he was on his way to lead the Kraken in points last season if he were to play a full season.
Jaden Shorts as this one bounced up in the air. Vince Dunn. Bjorkstrand into the tight circle on the right side as this is a low shot that's saved with the right pad by Hill. And now Dunn. Just keep this in the left side blue line. Shoots it in through traffic. And a bounce back to Bjorkstrand near the right side circle. He'll be patient. Working in behind the net. Yamamoto. Here's a no-look pass. Probably Tolvanen, but he didn't give Shorts enough time. And this could be something here for Vegas. Going to have to buy some time here for Nick Waugh. And he'll just fire this one. This goes up the stick shaft of Grubauer and back to Collar Yamamoto. Over Bjorkstrand. Drop pass here for Shorts. Off the toe drag. Keeps it alive for Bjorkstrand and behind the cage. Centered out dangerously, but nobody was home. Vegas able to cut that one off. Here's a touch pass a couple of times from Tolvanen to Bjorkstrand and taken away. Now an opportunity off the toe drag. And this is kept alive for Vegas on the right side of the boards. They'll spin this back around with Alex Pietrangelo. And now near the right side dot is Vegas. Back to full strike. Stevenson backhand. He was looking for two, but Grubauer said no.
You know, Grubauer's not wanting to go down 2-0 here early in this game. And he's not only stopping Stevenson, but also William Carrier in two straight puck possession sequences for the Golden Knights. And that keeps us at a 1-0 hockey game.
I know all these games have been pretty good so far, and yes, I'm loving the commercial that we're seeing right now on the ESPN side. We need more classic commercials like these. I miss them.
This is a good one. I think my favorite is the Alex Ovechkin Russian spy one.
That's yeah, that one when he was met by Steve Levy up at the office. And the Russian spy one is then teammate Semyon Varlamov helping Ovechkin out. That was a close one. Let's go.
And when they're in the cafeteria line and the Swedish chef from the Muppets is making orders, and then Henrik Lundqvist is the only person who can understand them.
See, ESPN can still do classic hockey commercials, and we got them. One just dishwashing the Stanley Cup with the Vegas Golden Knights. That's what we're referring to right now. So good on ESPN for that one. I'm just going to go ahead for my own sake here. I know Alex gone through this a couple times, but I want to reset because I didn't get a chance to watch the early game. Tampa Bay took a 5-3 win over Nashville. And again, you had Johansson in goal. Want to make sure that I get the young fellow's name correct. Jonas Johansson, the 28-year-old now, but he's finally going to get some starting time. I think he's 2-0 now as an NHL regular as he outdueled Yusei Saros. He stopped 28 out of 31. Yusei Saros stopped 29 out of 33.
Yeah, who would have saw that coming? I mean, not anyone would have seen a game in which they would see Jonas Johansson outdo Yusei Saros, and Saros is one of the best goalies in the league. I mean, who would have saw that? Andre Vasilevsky is out until at least late November, at the most early December, with that back surgery, and then Johansson comes out like this.
Yeah, and you're talking about a potential gigantic shakeup in the Atlantic. I know that really has me intrigued as far as the Red Wings on the Thursday side, and then they play Tampa on Saturday. It was Kucherov in the first, and then Ryan O'Reilly in the second. It was 1-1, and then just a parade of goals made it 5-3 in the third. But we'll reset that in a second. What a save by Grubauer with the left pad as this is picked up now. Picked it off the backhand pass. Lost his stick there was Grubauer. But Larson able to go ahead and find this puck as this is recollected now. Wenberg, stutter step, working in through Larson off the backhand. A no-look backhand attempt doesn't find anything but Golden Knights. And now they'll try to clear this one head across the red line. But Grubauer already making a save that could have easily been 2-0 Vegas, Alec.
Yeah, many times have we seen that in many instances in which it could have been 2-0 Vegas, including the last two shots before the TV timeout. And then this one happens.
Borgen, he gets denied with a 5-hole slap shot attempt by the right pad of Hill. And Cotter will get this one in. Still keeping it alive and through traffic as they'll work this around the end boards. But Seattle will get a chance to go left to right as well. Borgen now off of a Flutter pass. This will fall back to Seattle. They shot it intentionally wide. If this goes back around the end boards now, Haig will try to flip this one down. Here's a chance for the fourth line side. Keegan Kolesar. And right into the stomach of Grubauer as he holds on.
Still, Philip Grubauer is holding his own. Still. Being the Philip Grubauer that we all know about dating back to his days in Washington when he was the back of the grade in Opie. And he first showed signs about that Vezina Trophy caliber goaltender with Colorado when he stole that series from Calgary.
I know some Colorado friends, when they won the Cup a couple of years ago, they were saying, where was this version of Philip Grubauer that we saw in the playoffs last year? But he certainly has shown strides that he can do that. And again, between the salary cap situation that we talked about, they need Philip Grubauer to play like that, especially with some of the losses that they've had in the offseason, Alec. I don't think it's going to be particularly painful for Seattle. I still predict them to be a playoff team, but maybe they won't even be as good as they were last year.
I can be on the same boat as you are, considering everything that's transpired with Colorado, the depth issues that they've had last year. I know they were trying to address that with the addition of Ryan Johansson, Miles Wood, Ross Colton, Tomas Tatar. Tatar being a late addition, by the way, but I don't feel that Colorado could be back up there as they were when they were dominating.
Yeah, we'll have to see that. We'll have to see the same thing for Seattle, but I think we're both in agreement. And on the Vegas side is a Bjorkstrand chance that's close 5-hole by Hill. So Hill's done the job here early. As it's 1-0 Vegas. The shots are 10-6 in favor of the Kraken. Again, this is the late game of the tripleheader. So thank you for staying up with Alec and myself on that side. He's pulled double duty, so he's definitely going to sleep good tonight as this is set back around. And I thought it was going to be out of play, but this somehow stays in as Yanni Gourde. Somebody's getting blasted on the other end. I think that was Tolvin in the 8, a couple of cross checks, but no call. Seattle's kept this in for about 37 seconds now, but they're just working this around the end boards. Vince Dunn got a nicely new minted paycheck as this is recollected and now stolen by Vegas near the right side of the board. This will be canceled off by a couple of Seattle Kraken. And they'll reset this back to the defensive core of Larson and Dunn, who I definitely think, even though they're a top line, I still think they're as good as any. That line is very, very good. You think even for Larson, they would still want him on the Edmonton Oilers. As this is recollected now off the stick lift, Seattle tries to keep it alive as Bjorkstrand will try to circle around. This bounces off a couple of skate blades and Turbo. Former Pittsburgh Penguin will pick it back up. Again, Brandon Tanev, he always has one of the greatest hockey pictures whenever you see his picture being flashed across. As this is recollected now. Dropped in, but just kept onside and then intercepted now by Vegas. As Cotter will flip it in. Now Won Calder, no-look pass and a good defensive play, but I think Tanev might have put it in his own net.
Oh, that is always tough whenever you're defending a puck and trying to keep it away from your own nets. No, this is tapped off of Jonathan Marchessault, I'm saying. Brandon Tanev tried to play this away from everyone. He tried to direct it behind the nets, but this landed right off the stick of Jonathan Marchessault, and Marchessault tapped this one in. A bad break for Brandon Tanev, but a better break for Jonathan Marchessault. Oh my goodness, that's rotten luck.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Again, you get the benefit of seeing before I do on that side. You described it perfectly. Tanev trying to clear that one out of the way. And his attempted clear goes off of Marchessault's stick, if you could believe, and pinballs into the net past Philip Grubauer. That is about as bad of luck as you could possibly have, as it's 2-0 Vegas.
Oh, I feel bad for the guy. Always one of my favorite Penguins to watch when he was playing there.
No-look pass now for Eberle, but nobody home. And now Vegas, they can quickly counter. Barbashev try to get this one to Eichel. Got to watch out for Jack. He's incredibly hard to dispossess of the puck. It will take a few different Seattle players just to take it away from him. Petrangelo, now Eichel. As they'll try to send this back around for Jonathan Marchessault. And when you're thinking about the Eichel-Marchessault connection here, my friend, I mean, that's about as good as it gets in the NHL.
Always has been, and always will be when the time that they are playing up in this first line, and they have benefited off of playing with each other. And don't forget Ivan Barbashev.
Ivan Barbashev, I have to believe, again, we talked about some of the stuff during the free agency special when you listen in with us and all of that. I think Ivan Barbashev was probably one of the best pickups you could ask for. I understand they had to get rid of Riley Smith to do it, but essentially what Vegas did was they got a younger version of Riley Smith.
Yeah, basically, they got a younger version of him filling in for Riley Smith on that third line to the left side of William Karlsson on that line between those two and Mike Amadio. So basically, that third line remains relatively the same and unchanged when you think about Paul Carter. Now, the big question is about his offensive output. Now, we all know about Riley Smith's offensive output, and he has a knack for getting to the net and scoring goals while shorthanded. But this is a big shoot. These are big holes to fill for Paul Carter, but he should have no problem filling in for Riley Smith on this one.
No, I certainly agree with you on that side. And again, I understand it was only a few games last year, but Phil Kessel, I don't believe, is with the team, but he did get a chance to pick up yet another cup. And I do remember some of his stuff last year. He said, "You didn't think I could play anymore, but look, I won another cup on that side." But to that point on that separate way you just brought up, I certainly feel you could throw any of these players there. And you know what? I'll give full credit not only to all the coaching staff for Bruce Cassidy, because I know you and I talk about it many times. That's the easiest slam dunk that you could ever ask for, getting him there to bring him into Vegas, and they did exactly what they needed to do. And this is just a good team across all four lines, just like Seattle is. But I do think superstars or not, whether you want to call them that, I would certainly say Eichel is one. I think Vegas has the edge in that category in comparison to most teams.
Yeah, most teams, you compare them to the Golden Knights lineup. All four lines, Vegas, they have the ability to roll out all four lines. Seattle, they're on a similar boat as Vegas, but not really as talented as Vegas.
Right.
But they're still on that same boat between these two teams.
So we will see what happens in the rest of this first. I think, honestly, with 4 minutes left to go, we might already be in danger, Tori, where Seattle needs to score that next goal. And off the outstretched stick, Aiden Hill says, "Get away from my goal crease." And he leaves a forearm shove to the back of the head of one of the Seattle players as Larson has to go back in his own end and collect. Seattle's won the shot board advantage so far, 11-7. But it's a 2-0 lead for the Vegas Golden Knights, as it's an opportunity for Marchessault in order to get the second goal. As what else is new on that side? The playoff MVP is continuing to get it done alongside Chandler Stevenson. That's got the first 2 goals of the game. And this is sent back around the dasher here as this eludes Vince Dunn. And the recollected now Dunn for Larson here near the left side dot is this is a bit of an outstretched stick. Will get picked off, and Vince will have to go back into his own end again. Is this a center back down the ice? I know Alec and I have talked about this a few times, but it was just several years ago. Vince Dunn felt like he was a 6th defenseman for the St. Louis Blues. He couldn't get playing time. Now all of a sudden on the first line here for Seattle.
What a turnaround it takes. All it takes is just a change of scenery, and all of a sudden you're basically booming. That means booming and skyrocketing in your offensive production output. A change of scenery was what Vince Dunn needed. He got the first Kraken goal at Climate Pledge Arena, and that's a sign of what he is.
And I think for Ron Hakstol, and to that point, Alec, I think he left Vince Dunn left him with no other choice of action but to sign somebody like him, because I really think he can tailor a first line of defense. As Bjorkstrand, this bounces off a couple of bodies, but this will find the mustard goal. Here's an outstretched pass, partially blocked by Bjorkstrand, but Stone able to save it. Here's a late arriving Chandler Stevenson as this is put around the end boards. Chandler able to get the interception, the former Washington Capital. He's looked right at home since he's ever joined Vegas again. And you'd have to imagine Washington, you'd think they'd be kicking themselves a little bit, Alec, because they can certainly use his services.
Definitely. With Burakovsky on that line of full time, now they get to see what he truly is, dating back to his years with Colorado and Washington. Colorado more so, as we saw more sample sizes from Burakovsky. My goodness, what a good save from Grubauer.
Set on him. Go ahead.
Yeah, but Burakovsky, with him and Colorado and the plays that he made on the way to winning that Stanley Cup, you can just imagine that Seattle needs that Stanley Cup experience, and they really could have used his services further down for the road. God knows where they would be if Burakovsky was on the lineup heading to the second round. Potentially conference final wasn't played, but who knows?
Yeah, it's a huge loss. Again, you talk about that and even some of the stuff for Colorado as well. Burakovsky played a big role to help them win a couple of years ago. Grubauer made a fantastic stop right on the doorstep here. Essentially, we could be talking about a 4-0 game. I mean, this is giving me flashbacks to the not too long ago. What was it? The 9 goals scored in the Game 5 side for Vegas against Florida? It kind of feels like that. Here's a potential breakaway for Barbashev, but Larson able to swallow that up with a stick lift, and that was much needed as this is sent down the ice, but Seattle cannot change.
Oh, you mentioned about the 9-goal drubbing of the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights later on in Game 5. It's like, what are we even seeing? I mean, these quality shots from Vegas, they're all over the place, and Vegas is getting more high-quality chances. And even though Seattle is having the advantage of the shot department, we need to see if Seattle can have that similar high-quality shots.
Yes, we do. And I think on both of our sides, this time I will speak for Alec on this side. I feel like we should be privileged to see what we're watching here from Vegas because they're operating this first period very businesslike. And that's exactly what you want to see from a defending Stanley Cup champion. You want to take this very seriously. Look, Seattle is an up-and-coming team in the Western Conference, and they gave Dallas certainly more than a scare when they lost in Game 7 in the second round. I mean, for Christ's sake, they upset the Colorado Avalanche. So you want to make sure that you take this team very seriously. And right now, as Seattle goes offside, Vegas is playing their best game with 52 seconds left in the first.
As you mentioned, as you described, very businesslike. That's what Bruce Cassidy and company have been operating from the get-go, dating back to the start of the postseason last year, when they took out the Winnipeg Jets in 5, the Oilers and Stars in 6, the Panthers in 5. It's very businesslike with the way they've handled things. They're not a single Game 7 all of last year in the postseason for them.
No, and again, I think you and I had the Winnipeg Jets and the Golden Knights. That was a little bit of an upset alert before the Jets were facing a lot of injuries. And tomorrow I'm going to be very intrigued as far as the Jets and Flames because when you think about, I don't know if Rasmus Kupari is going to play, but Alex Iafallo and Gabe Vigliardi will. And even if you're talking about trade stuff between Hellebuck and Scheifele, you're certainly not talking about it in Game 1. That's going to be a very good team. Grubauer, he was getting destroyed in front of the net, but still able to find a save off the screen. And I kid you not, this could easily be 5-0, but it's 2-0 Vegas. Here's a steal off the short-handed chance, pretty much of a 1-on-2, but it's saved by Hill. Put back around Nick Hague. We'll take a look as Alex Pietrangelo will take an essential timeout and behind his net. That's going to end the first period, but it's 2-0 VGK. What a period.
One thing that we need to look for is how the Vegas Golden Knights do when leading after 2. They've lost only twice
Wow.
when leading after 2 goals all of last year. Out of a possible 39 times. That is an impressive stat to look at of how they handle things. Once again, businesslike.
You could throw that. Again, I'm going to make this comparison. I hope everybody can follow me on this one. Let's say you're playing an NHL franchise mode or 2K and you put everybody to a 99 overall. You could simulate, and through 39 games, you might not even go 37-2.
No, not at all. It's complete blowouts if you go on NHL franchise mode. And I can see the same once I get the new NHL 24.
Yeah, we'll have to see how all that goes. Again, I'll have to leave you a progress report at some time as far as what I feel about the game. But I do want to go through this in the first period. We'll just give you the reset there. So we told you Kucherov and O'Reilly on the Tampa Bay Nashville side. It was Kucherov from Hedman and Braden Point, and then O'Reilly from Philip Forsberg and Ryan McDonough. Again, it's good to see Philip Forsberg back on the ice. Nashville did take the lead 11 seconds into the third with Juuso Parssinen from Forsberg and O'Reilly. So the big boys are already getting the points. Then it was Nick Paul on the power play from Point Stamkos. Hagel scored on a penalty shot. 40 seconds later, 225 to 307, made it 3-2. Tommy Novak ties it with 8:48. And then Nick Paul and Nikita Kucherov scores with 2 seconds left on an empty net as Tampa goes 1-0 on the young season. Again, in the game that Alec covered, it was a 4-2 victory for the Chicago Blackhawks. I joined in on the third period. I was very surprised because Brian Rust, Chris Letang, Lars Eller, and then Crosby from Getzel and Marcus Pettersson, 2-0 Pittsburgh, but then 4 unanswered. Starting at 15:37 of the second from Ryan Donato, the former Seattle Kraken from Alex Vlasic and Connor Bedard, who got his first point. No goals for Connor, but did get an assist. Cole Gutman from Jones and Andreas Athanasiou, former Red Wing. Jason Dickinson, Corey Perry, Nick Foligno, and then Foligno again at the empty net from Perry and Dickinson. As the Blackhawks win their first game, Pittsburgh loses 4-2. And certainly now it looks like in our game, as it's 2-0 between Vegas and Seattle, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but it certainly seems like Vegas might do pretty well on their banner night.
I mean, given the way that they have handled multi-goal leads in all of last season, 37 out of 39 times that they have pulled off the win on that front. So you can expect that they can get a win out of this game and carry on that momentum onto their next few games.
I think so on that side. Let me go ahead and make sure, just because I have Alec on here, we're going to get more into the full scoreboard, I believe, on the Saturday side when it'll be completely packed. That's usually what happens in the first week of the season. Might have to bounce away from some baseball playoff games, but there are a couple of games that I am watching. Blackhawks will have to play back-to-back off of their win. They're going to play against the new-look Boston Bruins, and what I mean by that, no Patrice Bergeron and no David Krejci. I understand you still got Swayman and you got Ullmark, but the Bruins, I think that they're a playoff team potentially still here, Alec, but I feel like the wild card might be their route to get in. What say you?
Wild card may be the minimum on how they're going to get in with this Bruins team. It's less about offense because they've lost a lot of key faces on the offensive side. Their defense is mostly intact, even though they've lost Dmitry Orlov. They still got McAvoy, Lindholm, Griswick, Carlo, and Forbert at the helm. And basically, Connor Clifton's spot is being taken by Kevin Shattenkirk, with Clifton going to Buffalo. But they're going to miss Clifton's heavy physical play, even though he's under 6 feet. As for the offense, I can't say the same for how it goes with how they went last year, because no Bergeron. You lost Krejci, you lost Taylor Hall, and you lost Tyler Bertuzzi.
Yes.
With all of them gone, that's a heavy toll on the offensive side. Not to mention Orlov, who you picked up at the deadline. He's basically an offense first defenseman, and he's gone to Carolina. So that's a heavy hit for your offense.
And like you said with Bertuzzi and Orlov, they pretty much in the playoffs, they activated God mode.
Yeah. They were doing everything they can to get the Bruins right to a deep run. They were just 1 minute away from sealing out the Florida Panthers and to not have the upset of the century happen. And then Montour ties it, the rest is history.
Absolutely. So again, that's what I'm thinking of. And again, when I'm talking about the Bruins, when you're talking about Haula, and then I forget who will be also on the second line. I know you have the names, but that's what they're trying to replace when you're replacing Krejci and Bergeron. You're going to have Haula maybe as a top line centerman. And I'm not saying that he's not good enough to do it, but I would feel more comfortable if he was on a third line, not a first or second line.
Pavel Zacha primarily with David Krejci and David Pastrnak throughout the course of last season. I mostly called that the Czech line because all three of those players came from Czechia or the Czech Republic.
Mm-hmm.
But to have Zacha up at the first line, that's big shoes to fill now with Bergeron gone.
I think on the Boston category, too, they're going to have some kids in the system that I've heard that will be coming up, and they'll get the job if they continue to improve. So watch for that center position to change. And again, I always go back to it now just because I play center on the video game side of it. But I always think it's very important to be able to win draws, play defense, have a 200-foot game. You can't replace guys like the ones that they lost in Krejci and Bergeron, but we'll see how they'll do this year. But think of them to be more of a wild card team. So I think the Maple Leafs, they should have something easy to open the years. They'll be at home against the Montreal Canadiens, and then it'll be the Hurricanes at PNC against the Ottawa Senators. That'll be at 7 as well. 7:30 Eastern will be Blackhawks Bruins on the TNT side. I'll have the Jets and Flames for you with amended Cooper Hopkins, I believe. I'm going to have to take the lead on that end. It'll be the Oilers Canucks at 10 as well. But the other game, if he's not able to do that outright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep my eyes on the late game on TNT because I feel like that'll be the best one on the docket. The Avalanche and the Kings, you got Jonathan Drouin, you got Thomas Tatar, as Alex said on that end. And again, I think they want to call him PL Dubois now. He doesn't want to go by Pierre-Luc, but Pierre-Luc Dubois is now a member of the LA Kings when they swapped out a second-round pick. He swapped out Gabe Vigliardi, Alex Iafallo, Rasmus Kupari, and a second-round pick. I was on record saying that was a lot to give up for the LA Kings. I understand what Dubois can do, but I'm concerned at the beginning of the year, Alec, that I think the Kings – especially, I think they might be a team that might miss the playoffs. I know that sounds a little blasphemous, but I certainly feel like they won't be as good missing those three players.
The big concern that I have with the LA Kings is goaltending. I know you gave up that assets. Right idea, wrong player if you're trying to go on that route. I know you're trying to show up the center depth with Pierre-Luc Dubois, but that trade with the assets that you gave up, that was for Connor Hellebuyck, in my opinion. If you're going to go for goaltending. Because the question is, would it be either Vladislav Gavrikov or Jonas Korpisalo among the Columbus rentals? Gavrikov is now staying put for 2 more years. Korpisalo, he's now in Ottawa. So you gave up the right assets before the wrong guy, in my opinion.
I'm glad that you said that because I was kind of thinking I might be out to lunch on that thought. You might think I was crazy. I don't know how I feel about the LA Kings yet. I don't really feel comfortable. I've said over the last couple of years that I imagine that they are a playoff team, and I feel like they could get past the first round, but the last few years hasn't been kind to them on that side. But I'm just looking to the depth chart here. I wanted to make sure that I got this correct before I spewed off on the mouth here, but it's Cam Talbot and Phoenix Copley. I know Copley for the back half of the first half of the All-Star vote. I thought it was Stuart Skinner. He did win it. But I put Phoenix Copley in high regard only because when the LA Kings really needed goaltending and Jonathan Quick wasn't doing so well, they had to turn to Copley. But now for Cam Talbot, I'll be honest, my friend, when you talk about Connor Hellebuyck and their need for that, I agree with you. I don't even know if Cam Talbot's going to be the one. He might be a 1A, 1B situation to Copley.
Well, now that you're throwing Cam Talbot into the mix, let's mention one other guy who signed to a standard NHL contract in LA, David Riddick. So basically, this is essentially a 1A, 1B, 1C situation for LA because you got 3 goaltenders who are basically going to split starts. I don't feel this is a recipe for success if you're trying to emphasize on goaltending. You're looking to double down on that with Korpisalo. He did all right to close out the year, but he got absolutely torched by the Oilers in the first round. And so they move on from him. They're looking to go for another goaltender. You want to trade those assets away? This was for Hellebuyck. Again, I need to say it again. Hellebuyck. You need to go for him if you're trying to give up Alex Iafallo, Rasmus Kupari, and Gabe Vigliardi, and perhaps some more assets if you were to go for a guy like Hellebuyck if you're trying to solidify the crease. Now, Hellebuyck is locked up for 7 more years in Winnipeg alongside Mark Scheifele.
So that was made official that Connor Hellebuyck is a done deal, signed, delivered?
It is signed, sealed, delivered, both Hellebuyck and Scheifele.
Holy cow. So again, we were going into that in the offseason, my friend, wondering whether or not they were going to be moved. And I'll just be honest with you, point blank of me hearing about that, I think that's the right move for Winnipeg because I didn't think that they were missing much last year. I really think it's just going to, again, I understand that this goes without saying and it happens for all teams. You need a healthy Nikolai Ehlers and Kyle Connor to pair with those guys. And I'm not really worried about anything Winnipeg related. I think that they can do a lot of damage this year.
Winnipeg may be that sneaky pick for the playoffs because of what they have done throughout the offseason. I thought this was going to be a retool on the fly of all of the talks about Blake Wheeler, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Connor Hellebuyck, Mark Scheifele. Wheeler and Dubois are gone. Now we waited word on Scheifele and Hellebuyck basically all offseason. There was a sense of me that was feeling uneasy about the signings of Scheifele and Hellebuyck, considering staying put until age 38, I assume. That keeps their core for the long haul. The only question I have with them, can they keep this production for all the 8 years that they're going to be staying up at what is known as True North?
I'm going to go ahead and throw my 2 cents out there and say that that deal works for 5 years and you let the rest of the chips fall where they may. You sign them for 8 and you expect 5.
Given that their production is going to likely decline basically where they have hit right about 35 or so, given where their career trajectories are at. Shifley and Hellebuyck, they're both 30, so there's a lot left on the tank for both of them. Shifley actually scored 40-plus goals last year, so there's the goal-scoring ability from him. And Hellebuyck is still one of the best goalies in the league. So the Jets are still a playoff team with this core. So basically a retool on the fly for the Jets. A sneaky playoff pick.
Again, that's interesting to me, and I wish I would have been able to do more of my homework, but again, with the spotty internet, but I'm glad that you throw that out there for those deals because I was certainly going to have a lot to say about that tomorrow, but I'll go ahead and keep it locked in between those two guys locked in because I'll just be honest with you. I'm thinking about some of the other teams in Canada, whether it's the Canadiens or the Maple Leafs or the Jets or the Flames, and with that news on that side, with the trading that they made for Pierre-Luc Dubois, which I feel like they've gotten ahead of, I like that Jets team. Again, as we talk about a sneaky team, I feel like they can do some damage. And I think that the fans will be happy with that because the trade was pretty good. Getting those guys signed in are good. I mean, look, you don't walk away from a guy that scored 40 goals, and you don't walk away from a Vezina candidate if you're not going to get what you want in a trade in return. I think signing them is a good thing to get done.
Always a good thing to get done 24/7 if you're trying to emphasize the long haul and be a perennial playoff contender. The deepest they went with them, 2018. They have yet to return to the conference finals ever since, but the closest they got to was pulling up 4 straight wins over the Oilers and would have been a de facto one-score game because game 1, even though it was the final score 4-1, it was basically a one-score game for most of that game. And they pull off 3 straight overtime wins, 1-0, 5-4, 4-3, and triple overtime to seal the series against Edmonton.
Yes.
Even though you got swept by the Montreal Canadiens, your core is still around. You have that future ahead of you for the short term. The question is, how much longer do you have left in you?
Yeah, you wonder that now because, again, when I think about the team that made the playoffs, that was a team that was centered around Patrick Laine, who's now a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I think even going into next year now, you're talking about the availability here locally. I'm not saying it's going to happen for the Red Wings because you got Alex DeBrincat now. People were wanting Kyle Connor. I don't see that happening now. I don't see him going anywhere.
No, not at all. And speaking of guys not going anywhere, Rasmus Dahlin, he's staying put for the next 9 years because his extension kicks in next summer. It's 8 years, $88 million total with the Buffalo Sabres, so he's going to stay put. And Buffalo's quest for their first playoff appearance since 2011. This season for Buffalo is for Rick Jeanneret.
Yes, it is. And I want to go ahead and make a comment about Rasmus Dahlin really quick because I saw a lot of the stuff here on social media, whether you want to call it Twitter X or anything else across the board. They're saying $10 million is way much of an overpayment for Rasmus Dahlin. Do I have to remind you guys? I know Alec knows this very much. The cap is going up a lot over the next couple of years. And for what Rasmus Dahlin's already bringing you alongside Owen Power and the rest of that crew on the back end side of it, I think that $10 million plus is going to look pretty good down the road.
It is, with the cap going up year by year. And soon enough, with all these deals going up, if you remember the Austin Matthews extension, that he's going to be the new highest paid player in the NHL next season.
Yes.
With the cap going up, these 11 million deals all of a sudden look like bargain deals and look much cheaper in comparison to the future deals that are going to be signed down the road. Soon enough, we'll have defensemen, high caliber defensemen being signed to what, 12 million, 13 million deals? With the cap going up, perhaps McDavid, 15 million in his next deal.
Yeah, because right now the big man on that side of it was Nathan McKinnon, and again that's going to go to Austin Matthews, and I know Alec knows this one very well. I know it's several years ago, but everybody was complaining about Sidney Crosby's big deal, and that was the biggest bargain of all bargains.
It was 12 years, if I remember, at $8.7 million per year. This was before the CBA of 2013 when that half lockout year was going on. That contract came before then, and that contract will last 12 years to have it all aged extremely well, and that would be an understatement in saying so. That is a bargain deal to have an average $8.7 million a year. Interestingly, 8.7. That is a reference to his birth date.
Everything is done correctly and to the point meticulously for Sidney Crosby and crew. They got that all squared away and did it right. And again, I'll just say this as plain as day. We know this and we agree with this on this side, but it is of your benefit if you're a GM of these teams to get your players locked up now, because we said not only does the salary cap go up, it also quiets all the naysayers as far as what your direction of your team is. So get that stuff locked away. I think the good teams get out in front of that more so than the others.
For sure. The good teams getting the business done ahead of the others. And a job well done for Kevin Adams and Kevin Cheveldayoff and their respective teams and keeping their key players.
As we're going to get back into puck drop here, again, we mentioned Buffalo and the Rasmus Dahlin signing. Buffalo cleaned the clock of the Detroit Red Wings several times when they played. You meet up 4 times in the Atlantic. I think Buffalo scored, 7 goals, a couple of times against Detroit. Tage Thompson's a 40-goal scorer. You got Power, the University of Michigan product. You got Dahlin. You got Alex Tuck. You got plenty of secondary goal scoring. Yeah, they're going to miss Jack Quinn, but they got so much firepower. I think when Quinn comes back, he'll just continue to add to it.
And not to mention that with Jack Quinn out, you have Zach Benson in the lineup getting his first real opportunity in the NHL. One of the first-round picks for Buffalo this year, and I feel he should have no problem fitting into this Buffalo lineup. This kid is going to be special for the Sabres.
So we're going to talk about some schedule stuff going into the second period. I know Alec heard part of it, but we'll get to both of those as far as the next game, particular for tomorrow, to get his thoughts on it. So 2-0 Vegas. This is the lead now. So you got Chandler Stevenson and Jonathan Marchessault centered out in front. And down was Philip Grubauer, but it doesn't go across the blue paint. My goodness. Again, a 2-0 game if we're counting scoring opportunities, because you easily be 6 now. And I'm not even kidding. As this is sent back around the end boards, Larson tries to find it. This will be sticked and dragged. Bjorkstrand trying to get around ahead for Haig, but he'll flip it back around for Alex Pietrangelo. And now an opportunity for Haig, as I see him with the Golden Knights over the last couple seasons, and I feel like his game steadily improved as well. So the defensive core, even though they're missing Alec Martinez and Zach Whitecloud at the moment for a few more games with the upper body injuries, Haig's been able to fit right in and do very well as Vegas continues to add players. Sent back around the inboards now, Tolvanen. Dunn will wrap this around. This will be recollected now for McNabb. McNabb off an outstretched pass. Here's a breakaway opportunity. Scores! Vegas up 3-0 now.
Perfect pass from Brayden McNabb. Perfect finish from Ivan Barbashev. What more is there to say about this? This big man can do it all for Vegas. And going far side the entire way, was staring right down that top right corner. You're going to certain someone who used to announce in beautiful Buffalo, New York, where Mama hides the cookies.
Ivan Barbashev had to fight off a stick check that was trailing in the back, and then he just roofs that thing top right corner. I'm just going to tell you, I'm absolutely jealous that my hockey team doesn't have Ivan Barbashev, because he has been a robot.
Oh, and tough as nails, do it all forward on this top line, and he's been living up to that, dating back to that great year in 2022 with St. Louis. And to fight off that stick check from one of the Seattle defenders, boy, that's special.
My goodness. So Vegas, again, it's 3-0, but if we're counting scoring chances, it will be 7. This feels like a Florida game, and Seattle's playing off the open night. They're going to taste the medicine. Beautiful passing. Good save there by Grubauer off the short side. That was 7 tic-tac-toe passes. And if we're talking about NHL 24 and the pressure meter, it's certainly been turned up all the way. and the roof's about to blow off at T-Mobile Arena if it isn't already. You've already had the banner celebration, and this team's already up 3-0. I know you're paying good money for these tickets, but it's been full value. Carlson, D to D. Here's a wrist shot. This goes off the left side of the wall. And now Haig for Carlson. Carlson, outstretched pass, fake the slap shot. Here it comes. This goes off the body. Picked up by Seattle now. As Turbo had the puck get away from his stick, as Marceau was able to put it in. And now Barbashev has got the latest goal here. So you got Marceau, Barbashev, and Chandler Stevenson. You didn't even have to talk about Jack Eichel or Mark Stone yet. So that tells you the embarrassment of riches here for Vegas. And again, for me, I'm just very impressed with this business-like mentality that Vegas continues to show. Here's an outstretched pass for Tolvanen. Shot goes wide. Just tried to get put around the inboards here, but it gets blocked off by the Mustard Gold. As they'll go left to right here in this second period. The black pants, Mustard Gold jerseys on the top with the red striping on the pant legs. Aiden Hill. Flip this back around as this gets knocked away from Amadio. Here's a wrist shot opportunity. This goes up the glove hand of Aiden Hill. He's able to quickly get live and send it down the other way across the Allegiant Stadium logo. Again, you have the Vegas Raiders, and now you have the Vegas Golden Knights. As this wrist shot gets knocked up in the air, but the Raiders did just lose to the Green Bay Packers. They won against the Green Bay Packers. They haven't looked so great, but Vegas has. As this is sent back around for Alexiak tip play. And this one goes wide of Hill as he was down and out. And this is sent back here for Nick Waz. We'll take a look at it. Hill might skate his way to the bench, though. 1-on-2, sweet play! And this is saved as Barbashev is certainly turning on the moves after scoring a goal.
Oh, on one side, we could have had an easy tap-in goal from Will Morgan. And then on the other side, Ivan Barbashev didn't see it easy, putting Will Morgan right on one of the islands of Hawaii. Someone needs to check the difficulty meter on NHL 24. Are we not sure to turn all the way down for Vegas here at this home crowd? Are we sure?
I think the sliders are all the way up for Vegas now. The Deacon's at 100, and so is the shot accuracy, and so is the passing. Long shot. This one gets fought off by Grubauer. Grubauer, again, we're talking about the very opening. I know not all of these goals could have been stopped, but this is not the start you want for Philip Grubauer. You want this to feel like the playoff version. And if you get the regular season version, I'm not saying Seattle's in trouble right now in game one, but you're going to need some goaltending help as a penalty is being called.
You need all the help that you can get goal scoring wise. Just as much as when you're a pitcher in the MLB, you need all the run support that you can get. Spencer Strider didn't get that for the Braves in game one of their NLDS series against the Phillies, but Max Fried and company did in game two.
You need it all right now, and Vegas is giving you all in plenty of seconds. It's buffet style right now at T-Mobile Arena. As John here with him, the play-by-play alongside Alec Novak, and he's played double duty. He was able to cover the Pittsburgh game for us on that side in between the Blackhawks, and now we're taking in the very nightcap of the ESPN triple header. So I'll be up with you late for the next couple of nights before the Thursday game if everything continues to hold on my end between the Red Wings and the Devils. Here's a 2-on-1. Going to elect the shoot, but here's a diving shot block in the lane that negates an opportunity for the moment, but this is still with Vegas. And now recollected defensively here for Larson. Tries to play this one off the window. And we'll see if Seattle can get just started here, Alec, because I feel like they haven't got many shooting opportunities here in the second period. And again, to that point, it's 6-1 as this is recollected by the Mustard Gold in their own end. Several backhands. Shea Theodore as this gets knocked away, and Seattle able to push this one ahead. Oliver Bjorkstrand will take a look at it as Vegas still trying to get this out of their own end, get this across the red line. But the Kraken now and the Road Whites trying to make something happen. Alexiak, former Dallas Star, will get this around the inboards here. Will Borgen gets canceled off here by Theodore. Sent back around, kept on the right side blue line. Here's a deflection as it gets knocked down before it ever touched Aiden Hill. Picked up off the backhand across the Golden Knight logo. And Vegas will continue to buzz. 16 shots to 14. Seattle started 5-0 on the shot board. So Vegas has had complete control since then. Paul Cotter lost it. Picked up now off of a 2-on-3. Seattle has the 2. They'll chip this in and partially take a change. One of the forwards still out there for Seattle. An opportunity in front. I think this got blocked. as this is sent back around. Matty Beniers having a chance to call his name too much. Keeps it alive. Alexiak, right wing side. Hill down. Makes the save. Full paddle stretch. And the net is not knocked off. Vegas able to find it. Aiden Hill looking vintage right there, Alex.
Oh, that looked like a car crash right in front of Aiden Hill. I mean, somebody was flying. I mean, somebody got plane tickets. One for Paris, please.
Jamie Alexiak from a drop pass from McCann, but Aiden Hill certainly been on his P's and Q's. He looks like he's in his playoff form right now. The shots are 16-16. Eberle with a great screen in front. And again, a beautiful defensive play. That was William Karlsson that saved a goal.
Hey, Vegas clicking on all cylinders here in the second period. And I remember in the previous cast about how the second period has been the Golden Knights' bread and butter. That was on full display in Game 5 when they scored 4 goals on the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Final to clinch that fabled trophy. It's here in Las Vegas, and they showed it right in front of Allegiant Stadium, the site of the 2024 Super Bowl. Got a chance to get a look at Allegiant Stadium when I covered the Raiders and Steelers. And shout out to JJ and Sean. But, man, this Golden Knights team continuing to buzz, and I mean buzz, picking up from where they were in the finals. Buzz like a bee.
Yeah, they look exactly like the team that we saw in the postseason. Again, we keep going back to that because that is what you see. And that Karlsson play, I just want to reiterate this. I understand it's a long-tenured original Golden Knight misfit, but he made the play that all of the defensemen on the Vegas side, and let me give you a shout-out because I can do that on that side, Nick Hague, Alex Pietrangelo, McNabb, Theodore. I know Alec Martinez isn't there with White Cloud, but between those four, Karlsson looked as good as Hague and Pietrangelo, McNabb, and Theodore there.
Between 7 defensemen, if we're speaking of defensive forwards, because William Karlsson, not only can he score, but he can also defend at his own end. And he's basically de facto 7th defenseman when he's at his own end.
Beautiful sight that we have in Vegas here at T-Mobile Arena. John Hunter with you alongside Alec Nava. Again, thank you to Alec for pulling double duty because he didn't even have to join me today, but he's doing me a big-time favor as I'm throwing in there. We're taking in this game and hasn't exactly been competitive, but we're still happy to bring this with you. I didn't want to miss the opening night, especially banner night. So as long as the internet can hold for a few more days here, we'll get everything replaced and be good for next week, definitively for sure. Face-off loss for Seattle in the offensive end. We can certainly talk about that. They were one of the worst teams in face-offs in all of last year for Seattle, and I definitely think that that's not going to change much as we're back underneath the action now. 13:05 thereabouts here. Just to tick to that side on mine. It looks about 15 seconds ahead. As this is sent back around for a wrist shot. This gets blocked. Grubauer gets knocked down, and this will stay in here. Keegan Kolsar able to keep it alive. Hague, outstretched pass. Good ripper of a save there by Grubauer with the glove hand, but it's shut right out as fast as he made the save. Bjorkstrand try to keep it alive. He'll drop a pass for Vince Dunn across for Larson. See if Seattle can make something conventional because it kind of feels like there's maybe 8 Golden Knights on the ice to maybe about 4 of these for Seattle because it feels like there's no room right now. As Nick Waugh able to chip this one off the boards. It's 19-17 on shots, but 3-0 VGK on their banner night. Again, I've seen a lot of teams in this night completely coast, and Vegas is not doing that right now.
No, they're not. I mean, if we're looking at Vegas, they've been establishing dominance all throughout this game and imposing their will on Seattle all throughout. What I mean, the first or the second period, it's been all Vegas virtually.
Yes, it really has. Dumoulin tries to jump in and make the save with the glove hand. So the Pittsburgh Penguin now gets an opportunity with Seattle. I don't think this is exactly what he envisioned as well. And look, we'll just be completely honest with you. We both believe Seattle's still a playoff team, but I think this is a significant message from Vegas to Seattle. We know you're the new kids on the block, but you're not at our level quite yet.
That's what Vegas is basically telling Seattle. I mean, there's new kids on the block. I know you're up and coming and you want to be,
Here's a shovel opportunity off the face-off. Win Schultz. Slap shot bounced up in the air. Matty Beniers trying to get a piece of it between the legs, gets some help from Eberle. Center down the middle of the circles, and Jared McCann, the 40-goal scorer, gets Seattle on the board.
Yeah, that's why I said, because I apologize if I'm ahead of you, but Seattle finally getting the goal that they were really needing, and it was endless pressure right out in front. They picked up this puck from the far corner, and then they set up to Jared McCann as he was going right to the office, the slot, the place many NHLers like to score. That same area. No mistake there. Ripping it top shelf, and Seattle, they get one, and they get two more.
It's another one of those situations. I know I was joining you for the third period. That feels like that puck might have bounced off Petrangelo's leg and fell right to McCann, and he scored in the slot.
Yeah, it did. And in Seattle, they got three unanswered when they first faced off against Vegas. They tied the game at 3. They lost on a Chandler Stevenson, what looked to be a kick goal. They reviewed it. They upheld the goal. But the debate on that game was if it was a kick or not.
I didn't know if we were going to get a power play or a penalty shot, but one of the Seattle players is going to go to the box here. Looks like Alex Windberg for a trip against Chandler Stevenson.
It appears that, and Alex Windberg sitting in the box, indeed, is getting sent off for a trip.
I should be careful about what I say because I was just glowing about Vegas and then they got scored on from Jared McCann. But now Seattle's had a lot of power play time. I believe this is Vegas's first power play of the game here. And the playoff side, they look pretty good against the Florida Panthers. But in the regular season, Vegas was kind of middle of the road. Again, the numbers just popped up conveniently, 20% at 18th. Marchessault, Stone, and he gets absolutely robbed by Grubauer.
Oh, that was a very close call. Could have made it 4-1 there, John.
Again, we could almost get to double digits for the amount of times that Vegas could have scored, but we'll see what they'll do on their first main advantage of the 23-24 season. Stevenson is waiting for the puck to return to him near the left side of the red line. Got it now. He'll center a pass as it bounce up some bodies. Go back to Jack. Shea Theodore now. Marchessault. He'll stutter step. Give it back to Stevenson now. Marchessault near the right side dot. He'll play catch with Chandler near the right side red line. Back to Marchessault as he's working away with the blue. High slot is Theodore. Now for Jack. Goes back to Shea. Shea, patient, fires into the screen. Bounces off the wall. Captain C. Mark Stone. Now for Marchessault. Working from low to high with Jack Eichel. Eichel, patient near the left side dot. Now back for Jonathan. Here comes the bomb from Shea. This one will get blocked by Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, the new look fourth liner for Seattle as it's sent down the ice. Marchessault with a quick pass here for the captain, seeing Stone. Yanni Gourde tries to find a barrier with Bellemare. They showed him. He's hurt from the shot block. Eichel, here's a great setup for Marchessault, and that one got fought off by Grubauer. Stone keeping it alive before it goes across the blue. Here's Shea. Now Jack Eichel. Back to Theodore. Now Marchessault. Wonderful passing. Eichel, patient. In the high slot now for Stone. Back to Jack as it's down to 25 seconds. He's going to keep this alive off the backhand, looking for a lane. Stone, power over to the net, trying to find Marchessault. This one goes wide. Barbashev able to keep it in as they can make a change. Seattle's got to be dead tired, and they'll just funnel past this thing down the ice. Finally, Aiden Hill, full outstretched pass for Barbashev, but he was offsides. My goodness.
And what was that? For nearly 2 minutes, Vegas was right at Seattle's zone for basically almost all the power play. A minute 50 seconds or close to that. It felt like an eternity for Seattle with all those tired legs out there. As you see Alex Windberg standing up in anticipation of getting right back into the ice. Boy, did Vegas apply so much pressure there. Boy, were they getting a lot of chances on Philip Grubauer. Boy, are they ever so relentless.
Yes, they are. All of those boys there with a complete emphasis, and I complete with you on all of that side. So Windberg waiting to get out of the box as the door now opens as we get a good cut there from ESPN. This will be the last of our triple header coverage of the night, and I'm just happy to have you with me and covering an NHL game. It's certainly been a while as I'm trying to get my feet back underneath me. So hopefully I'm not flubbing this play too much as this is sent back around now, and the Mustard Gold will recollect in between a couple of escape plates. And Pietrangelo will inadvertently bounce this one off Nick Hague. There might be an opportunity for Eberle in the first line side. Haven't had a chance to call their name too much because it's been all Vegas up until the Jerry McCann goal. Marchessault, nice little play. As will pick this one up off the backhand side, and Michael Lamadio will send this back around, but we'll get taking the puck away and dispossessed for Matty Beniers. He'll lose it off the stick lift now for Nick Waugh. The do-it-all everything for Vegas. Doesn't matter if you throw him on the bottom line. He can win faceoffs, play a wing, he can play everywhere. He's just a great player. Matty Beniers now trying to get this away from Paul Cotter, does so in between his legs. And Seattle will try to go right to left in the road whites. Jaden Shorts will flip it in. Now Aiden Hill tries to clear it. He couldn't get a lot of it, but this will fall back to Nick Waugh. Waugh now, beautiful little back pass here for Keegan Kolesar right in the center. Waugh has it near the right side boards. Here's a good setup here for Hague. He'll funnel a shot attempt that gets blocked. Hague now, settle it back down as Yanni Gourde's clear. Doesn't get out of the zone. Keegan Kolesar, he'll throw a blind back pass, goes right to Seattle. 7:40 left to go in the second. John Hunter with you alongside Alec Nava. The shot board is now even at 20. But Vegas up 3-1. Jared McCann with the latest goal to answer 3 unanswered from Vegas. As this is now near the left side down. Sent back around. Bjorkstrand trying to keep it alive. A delayed hand is in the air. I think this is going to go against Vegas. Paschal will touch. Seattle goes back to the man advantage.
That was Yanni Gourde drawing the penalty that's going to be called on Brandon Paschal. I believe this is a high stick, if anything, or some holding. I don't know if it's high sticking or holding, but Brandon Paschal, he was definitely going at it at Gourde. And with that, Seattle's going to get another great opportunity and getting another one back at Vegas. They got one already. They need 2 more.
Yeah, it'll be their second power play opportunity. Vegas has four power plays against them on that side, so we will see what happens with this. It's a 3-1 score line. We'll give you the reset here quickly. Jared McCann had scored the latest at 8:19 from Eberle, but it was Chandler Stevenson at 7:16 of the first from Howden and Stone. Jonathan Marceau unassisted off of the tough luck bounce off Tanev. Then it goes off Marceau sticking in. Ivan Barbashev with a silky forehand move off a late arriving back check. It was a semi-break, wasn't a full break, but he got the assist from Braden McNabb and then McCann from Eberle. That's your scoring reset. Aiden Hill has been brilliant. He's stopped 19 out of 20. And Philip Grubauer, it feels like it's been more than this, but 17 out of 20 for an .850 save percentage.
It feels like he's facing a lot more shots than what he's been put up because Vegas has been all over the ice throughout this game. And this game has still remained the same throughout. And Vegas continuing to hold on. We all know about their second period and their reputation for it, but they've already given up one to second. They don't want to break. All they want to do is hold on. And even if it means a little bending, they don't want to bend too much because if it is bending too much, eventually it's going to break.
Yeah, the Kraken are a team that can force you to break on that side. They're one that love to play with pace, and they have a lot of opportunity through the first 4 lines, but it just goes back to everything that we talked about with Vegas. I can take all 4 lines and plus that because you got Stone and Marchessault and Eichel and Barbashev and all that. So the talent is a little bit greater there, even for Vegas than it is for Seattle. And not to mention, as we talk about, when you're losing Carson Soucy, and I'll throw this in there because he's a Red Wing and I'll get a chance to see him on Thursday. Daniel Sprong is a guy that you could throw on the 3rd and 4th lines that has over 20 goals, and he's not here this year.
He's over in Detroit. You got to look at Bill Foley. I mean, that very, very bold statement of Cup and 6, that was very extreme risk and a very, very, very skyrocketing award.
And I look at from the back end of it now, as Beniers has it on the power play, the moves that were made last year that brought in Barbashev, that brought in guys like Teddy Blueger, some of the depth, they weren't home run hits, but they were hits that they needed to address team depth and make them better across the board. And that's why I believe, alongside Bruce Cassidy, that they got to where they were. But those are just my 2 cents. As Nick Waugh able to get the clearance in and all the way down. So the Kraken are 0 for 2 on their power play with 3 shots. Again, 21st out of 32 teams at under 20%. Beniers goes off sides with Burakovsky late arriving.
Man, to me, with the pass from Beniers to Burakovsky, with Beniers entering and Burakovsky on the recipients, I sort of face palmed on that because you're entering the zone. Just keep on going. There's no need to pass right back to a guy that's behind the line.
Take the speed, take the entry, because that's the best you can get. You don't want to get too cute. The best thing you can do right now, if you're Seattle, is force more shots on Aiden Hill. We know he's been terrific, but it just goes without saying. I couldn't agree with you more. Vince Dunn, off the drop pass here for Kari Yamamoto. He's getting some secondary power play time. I kind of wonder how much that's going to continue to stick as it's sent back around, because Calder didn't get too many opportunities here for Edmonton. And when he did, alongside with Jesse Puljujärvi and guys like that, he just didn't pull enough weight. So we'll have to see if he can kind of be a Daniel Sprong replacement. I know that's kind of a tough task, but again, Sprong had over 20 goals last year. Vince Dunn, nice move. Oh, and his lonesome backhand fired that one way wide. He almost took a couple Golden Knights with him as they ran into the post. That might have been Nick Hague that got a piece of it. His kidneys aren't going to feel too good. That's Tolvanen. We'll send that back around. Dunn, Bjorkstrand, he'll drop it here for Vince. Now Vince will finally get settled. Now Tolvanen will fire. This one gets blocked. Vegas really leads on those blocked shots. Jaden Short still trying to funnel this into the traffic. Vegas right there. Kari Yamamoto trying to keep it alive off a no look. And here's Shorts. By the time Seattle can get settled, they got just 10 seconds left to go into the third power play. Shorts knocked down on the right side of the boards trying to keep his footing, but Vegas doing a great job just killing time here as Alex Pietrangelo will recollect, try to get this out of the zone. Tolvanen off the stick check as Sean Pascal getting back out of the box. 5:15 left to go in this fast-moving second. Kraken-Golden just one shot. This is put out in front of the net. Vegas blocks it again. Seattle's got the opportunities. They're getting some wholesale line changes. Brian Dumoulin, here comes the slapper, and off the end boards, Yanni Gourde will retrieve. Put this back near the right side dot. He'll recollect there from Dumoulin as they'll crisscross. Dumoulin wants to work his way around the net. So they're going to have one of the forwards peel back and cover as he's got it now. They'll toe the line, shoot it again. Hill down, makes the save, and he holds on to it with the glove hand.
So a total of 83 seconds of zone time that last time around for Seattle. So there's a little activation of the full pressure system in NHL 24 terms. And we also saw Vince Dunn. He was driving that puck right on his phone, taking himself, doing it the job on a solo job, trying to rip it right by Aiden Hill. Almost became a car crash.
He was kind of looking like, I know what Cooper Hopkins would say with the Calgary Flames. Nikita Zadorov likes to moonlight as a forward. Well, Vince Dunn was making his best impression there.
And speaking of the Calgary Flames, they and the Edmonton Oilers, I know they're going up head-to-head outdoors in the Heritage Classic later this month. Who knows if we're going to get something on that?
We can certainly figure that out on that side, because I know anytime I mention Edmonton Oilers to him, I certainly feel like he has a little bit of a frown on his face, and that's very understandable in the Battle of Alberta. But the one thing across my board that I'm always thinking about, Alec, again, I know I talked to you about this, and you and I might have had a little bit of differing opinions, even though I know we agree on a lot of things. I've never sold on the Edmonton Oilers, but again, at this point, they are the second Stanley Cup favorite this year, alongside McDavid and Draisaitl. But is that depth enough? That's what we ask every year.
We've asked this question every year about the Edmonton Oilers, and it seemed that it was in 2022, even with McDavid and Draisaitl going nuclear in that playoff year. The last year, McDavid, for his standards, was disappointing in the playoffs. Draisaitl is doing a lot of the workload against both LA and Vegas. They got stopped by that brick wall known as the Golden Knights. And in 2022, it showed us what the Oilers could do at their peak.
And again, you said it perfectly. That's their peak. And then when you want to think about going forward, it's another year on the clock. And I understand McDavid's still relatively young, and so is Draisaitl, but it's another year for those two horses. And every year that goes by, I think the pressure goes up and up as far as whether or not they stay together, whether or not the job gets done. I mean, it's pretty much Stanley Cup or bust for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, every year it's cup or bust. I would put up the Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani comparison, but I feel those comparisons kind of died
I would agree on that side, but I certainly understand why those cases are made. Again, you just need the people to stay healthy and produce, but you also need the rest of your team to get it done. You have the two best players in the world, and it's still tough. As this gets deflected, and this bounces down for Hill. Dunn, settle it down. Here's another chance. And now Seattle's really gotten the message that we've been asking for. Fire pucks at the net. They'll certainly do that now. But here comes Jonathan Marceau. He's already got one. Here's a wide open pass. But Barbashev can't get his stick down on the ice, and that would have been absolutely dangerous as it's 24-20 with 4 minutes left to go in the second as this is flipped up and on a play.
And we're seeing some Elvis impersonators here in Las Vegas. Oh, no surprises because Elvis impersonators in Las Vegas are always a good combo.
There's a lot of things that go hand in hand in Vegas. And again, these shows, that's what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas because only they can get away with it, my friend.
Yeah.
So they're showing a lot of that. Now we have, man, I am forgetting his name for the side of Everybody Loves Raymond. He's also there on that side watching this game then.
Yeah.
So
Vegas, no shots in 11 minutes. They would want to get something. They can afford one here.
Well, yeah, as you said, 11:06, and there's a lot of those that have been blocked for Vegas on that side of Seattle is really trying to apply the pressure. Another shot goes off of the back of the leg of one of the Vegas defenders. I think that might have been McNabb, and this is sent back down across. Now Seattle with a stick check as this is recollected here for Dumoulin. He's going to spend his time on the third line side to open the air, but I kind of wonder if that will move up as far as what Dave Hakstol is going to do. Again, this is just game 1 of 82 for all these teams, as most of the action will, again, from Wednesday and Thursday for a lot of teams, but Saturday is usually the first heavy hitter when pretty much all of the NHL teams will be in action. Alongside college football, you got baseball playoffs, you got NBA preseason. It's the best time of the year right now. Everything's going to be getting under action. 2:50 left to go in the second. Joining here with you alongside Alec Navas. We got the play-by-play and color respectively. Again, Alex pulled double duty on this side, but we're taking this game in. This second period has gotten a little bit closer as far as what Seattle wants, but here's a late arriving Vegas player as this is sent back around, played in off of a crisscross. Marceau trying to get this to Barbashev. He's just trying to turn around and find it in between his skates before Oliver Bjorkstrand. Now, well, the center, here comes a big slap shot, but this is nothing more of a flub as this goes near the right side dot, and they get a stoppage.
And we get a Seattle penalty in the meantime at the end of this, and Vegas going back to the power play. They would love to get their first shot in 12 minutes, and this is a good opportunity to do so, but man, what a missed opportunity for Seattle to bring it within one on that fan shot. I mean, it was mostly air and not a lot of puck.
Yes, it was. And again, from what we're talking about from a few minutes ago, from the Alex Wenberg tripping, again, from what Alex just spoke about 11 and a half minutes of action when there was no shots, that power play that they just had about 6 minutes of, or 6 shots of almost shots in 2 minutes. And now we'll see if they can actually find something. As Eichel able to get the retrieval from Chandler Stevenson faceoff win. And this is picked off by Seattle as Wenberg will drop it off here for Turbo. But this will be recollected now for Theodore. Here's Jack. He's going to play this in his own end. Again, 0 for 1 with 2 shots, 20%, which was 18th in the NHL. But in the playoffs, man, they looked as good as the Edmonton Oilers as far as their power play. And that's no exaggeration, especially against Florida as well. Eichel set it up behind. But this will be recollected by Shea as he'll get back to the left side blue line spot. Marceau will stutter step. This one gets blocked by Jimmy Alexiak, former Dallas star. He can take a lot of space away, being about 6'5", as this is Theodore. Now for Eichel near the right side boards. Marceau gets knocked down, spun around for Stone, but he couldn't get his stick on it completely. This bounces off his stick, and this will be technically just set out of play.
Yeah, they're going to rule it a high stick because it bounced off the stick with his stick right above his shoulder, so they're going to blow that play dead. It's kind of looking like a baseball bat, kind of looking like a foul ball as this was going right behind the catcher.
Yes, it is. It's a good call on that side. So before January 1st, to drive on the point that we talked about, Seattle's penalty kill was 68%. After that side of January 1st, so it's 84.5. So it's been a complete turnaround. Carlson racing and drop pass for Barbashev He really wants to get his second, but I feel like he could have 4. Ben Hutton now has it. He's going to get some secondary power play time. You don't see that often, as it's Pietrangelo. Now, working his way to the middle of the slot, drops it back for Hutton instead. They'll reset. Alex Pietrangelo near the right side blue line now for Nick Waugh. And this pass misses Pietrangelo completely. That'll be a free clear for Seattle. They'll take their wholesale changes for Dave Hakstol's squad. Got about 45 seconds left to go in the second period. Hutton, Barbashev try to get it to Stone. He's played it off the wall. Hutton keeps it in, but he gives it right to Alexiak. Alexiak can't play it clean, though. Going to need some help here for Dumoulin as he gets some time on the PK. Sent back down, freed down the ice. He'll have to play it as he works his way behind the net. Vegas' power play is going to end by the time they touch this puck in the neutral zone. 20 seconds left to go in the second. So 3 unanswered goals for Vegas. Answered 1 here for McCann. Pietrangelo trying to make something happen with the last 15 seconds. Here's Barbashev near the left side of the red line. Back here for Barbashev. Now left side blue line. Work the way for Theodore. He'll hold on. He's thinking about a wrist shot. He fires one. This goes wide out the wall and then way wide for Waugh. That ends the second period. It's 3-1.
So the Golden Knights, they're still sitting comfortably on that lead for now because with how Seattle played for the majority of the second half of the second period, they've been looking like a team that we've been thinking that we were going to see heading into this game. The Seattle Kraken will be bouncing back in such a way that they'll make Vegas uncomfortable, and that time they did. But the course of the second half of the second period up until that last power play.
Yeah, they did for a time, and I'm not trying to drive the nail in here, Alec. Again, forgive me. I just have to talk about it because it's the previous game. This is a similar situation almost that we find themselves in from the game that you just broadcasted. Now we're going to see if Seattle can pull the Chicago route and make things interesting for Vegas.
Oh, I know it kind of pains me to hear about the Penguins losing in a lot of 4 unanswered goals. I mean, for the Penguins, they lost 9 times when leading after 2. But on the other side, you got a Chicago team that had 8 multi-goal comeback wins. Those were among the top in the league in those respective categories for when the Blackhawks is the right side of the stats, for the Penguins it's the wrong side of the stats.
Right.
And the Penguins find themselves on the wrong side of the stats once again, and the Blackhawks once again on the right side of the stats again. With 4 straight, and the Kraken, they're looking for, as you said, the Chicago route. Getting goals from everyone, even 4th liners that we're discussing for Chicago, because the last 2 goals for the Blackhawks came from the 4th line. Jason Dickinson and Nick Foligno, with Foligno and Corey Perry getting involved in both of those goals.
So when I'm looking ahead of this, because we're going to talk about this a little bit, I'm going to look at the schedule because we're going to talk about Pittsburgh. I'm interested because I know that the Red Wings play them relatively soon. So, hell, I mean, the Wednesday for the 18th, that could be one of our games of the week on that side because that's both of our teams. But I don't want to interrupt any baseball playoffs that you're working on. We'll talk about it. But on the ESPN Hulu side, it'll be against the Washington Capitals. That'll be traveling to Washington. Then they have a back-to-back with the Calgary Flames on the Saturday side. So you have a few days to think about this, which I think is good for Pittsburgh. They can flush that one down because, again, Washington, they're in similar situations where I know Cooper and I have talked about this. I know Alec and I have talked about this. But Pittsburgh, I think, is a playoff team that gets in. I think Washington, at the very beginning of the year, I know they haven't played yet, but I think they might be on the team that's one of the ones that are on the way out.
Yeah, Washington's window is closed already. They exit this window with 1 Stanley Cup and a much-earned one. But Washington's Stanley Cup window, even though it's closed, the playoff window technically isn't.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out because when you have the names that you have on the roster, when you're talking about Backstrom, his health, you wonder what was going on with Kuznetsov. He's going to be there. You still got Ovi. You got Mantha. You got Oshie. You got Tom Wilson, and you hope that stays healthy. And Darcy Kemper, I didn't think he was all that bad last year. He's a goaltender that I know that gets talked about a lot. I know that he collected his paycheck after he won the Stanley Cup in Colorado. But I think he's a guy that can certainly get that done. And if Washington has their health, I know their window's completely probably closed, like Alex talked about, but they're in the same situation that Pittsburgh is. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah, let's not lie. These two teams are basically at the end of their playoff windows, basically savoring these moments for perhaps one last ride in this current generation of the Penguins-Capitals rivalry. All the times of Sid and OB, the 4 times that they met in the playoffs, all the thrillers that we've witnessed over the years. So we can get to witness this one last time as both Crosby and Ovechkin, Malkin, all those guys, they're nearing the ends of their careers. Appreciate it while it's still here because you don't know what there is in this rivalry until it's gone.
No, you don't. There's going to be a lot to talk about. I'm going to go ahead. I want to pull this up as far as what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. I went through the Red Wings schedule a little bit on that side, so I'll save that for tomorrow when I get the chance to talk with Cooper on that side if he's going to be able to cover that game. But I do want to go ahead and throw this out there as far as the Flame schedule. So last year, this was interesting because 8 of the first 10 games for the Calgary Flames were at the Saddle Dome. Now is not the case. So they're going to have a game at the Saddle Dome tomorrow with Ryan Huska, Craig Conroy, and Jerome McGinley, that new coaching staff, against the new look Winnipeg Jets team for the most part. So it's Wednesday, October 11th. We'll have that game for you tomorrow at 10 o'clock side. And then let me make sure I get this correct. 5 straight games on the road. It'll be Pittsburgh, Washington, Buffalo, Columbus, and Detroit. I understand it's a lot of games on the road to follow to start the year, but that certainly seems like winnable games for a team like the Calgary Flames.
You can argue these are toss-up games, but these are also winnable games for the Calgary Flames. You can mark this one for the air and then pick one of these two teams, and you would not be wrong with the direction that these teams are going with. Between Pittsburgh, Washington, Buffalo, Columbus, and Detroit, all on the road before they go back home for 4 straight, with the third game technically being a home game, even though it's being played outdoors.
Right. Yeah, when you come back, you got New York, St. Louis, Edmonton, Dallas, and Seattle. That's pretty brutal. So I think it's very important within these first 6 games for Calgary to not bury themselves. And again, let's look at it and be honest. I know we'll talk about this more on the broadcast side of it, but I do have Alec here, and I want to get his thoughts. We know what happened with Nazem Kadri, Mackenzie Weegar, and Jonathan Huberdeau. And I saw some of the quotes, I think, from Frank Cervalli that was doing a little bit of an interview on the Canadian side. And Huberdeau said it plain as day. I did not have fun last year, quote unquote. And look, Huberdeau's point totals were less than 70. And I know he's not a 100-point player. He probably won't be because he's not playing with Alexander Barkov. But I have to imagine that Huberdeau's got to at least bounce back from 60-something points to 75, correct?
Not even 60-something points. That the drop-off in point totals went from 115 in 2022 to 55 last year.
Thank you.
That's a 60-point drop-off. You can imagine that he's going to bounce back, and I think he will bounce back to the tune of a 70 or 80-point season, anything that is healthy. Because for Huberdeau, he's at least an 80-point guy when you think back to his days with the Florida Panthers. An offensive playmaker. That's what Calgary has traded for him while giving up Matty Tkachuk. He's the type of guy that you would want to see bounce back and be the play driver that he has been in Florida. And by the way, the outdoor game is actually Edmonton. You're talking home game. It's the home in the state of in the province of Alberta, but not in the city of Calgary. It's in Edmonton at Commonwealth Stadium, the home of the CFL's Elks.
Thank you for that on that side, and also thank you for the correction on the point side, because so from what I'm asking from the 55, I was asking for 70. I'm asking for a 20-point increase from last year, and as those words come out of my mouth, maybe that's not even an accurate thing for me to ask for.
And not just Huberdeau about the point drop-offs. You got to bring up Nazem Kadri. We all know about his most successful year with the Colorado Avalanche. Though we can attribute this to the injuries to Nathan McKinnon. And with the next man up mentality in Colorado, they had to center them in 2022 to make up for the loss of McKinnon. Now going over to Calgary, you're being asked to do a lot more. You had a good first half, but that second half right after the All-Star break is, geez Louise.
I want to say something about that. I'm not trying to be an apologist either for all the games that I've covered on that side. I just want to throw this out there. I know he was a largely minus player and did not have a great second half. I'm not even going to go ahead and talk about all the coaching situation and some of the situations there with GM and management and Daryl Sutter when you're thinking about who's now moved on to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I do want to mention this for Nazem Kadri. That hit that he took in the second half against Jacob Trouba, where he got de-helmeted, I still don't know if Nazem Kadri was able to recover from that. And now, hopefully, going into the opener tomorrow, he's finally healthy now. I'm just going to say it like that.
Yeah, hoping that he is 100% healthy heading into the home opener for Calgary tomorrow. Because when you look at that helmet to helmet hit, not helmet to helmet, why am I thinking about football? But that's hits where that stuck out the helmet of Kadri. It felt like you got involved in a car crash.
Yes.
Like what is it? Like, what city am I in? I mean, it feels like that.
I'm not lying to you folks because we ended up covering that game on that. That was the biggest hit I've ever seen of the year. I mean, we could talk about Eichel and Kachuk on that end during the playoffs. That might be one of the only other ones that even came close. I'm not even joking.
That or possibly even the Trouba on Fire hit in Game 7, the one that we covered back then.
Yes.
But yeah, the Eichel Kachuk hit or the Colasar Kachuk hit that broke Kachuk's sternum. He played through it in Games 3 and 4, rested in Game 5 because it felt like too much. He needed help from his brother Brady and even his teammates.
To even get dressed and get back on the ice, yes.
Yeah.
It was that bad.
Yeah.
And
Nobody should have to suffer from that.
no, and again, a lot of the injuries for the Florida side, guys, I do want to talk about them real quick while we're in the intermission. A lot of the injuries for the Florida side were sustained from the first round against the Boston Bruins. So I'm talking about Aaron Ekblad. I'm talking about Kachuk. I know Racco Gudis isn't there anymore. And for the Anaheim Ducks, boy, do I feel bad. Well, they lost Alex Killorn, correct? So he's going to be gone for a long time. But how healthy are the Florida Panthers to start the year? I still think they're going to be dinged up pretty good.
Yeah. They don't even have either of their two right shot defensemen, Ekblad or Montour, to begin with. They're on
Man.
the IR. Their entire defensive core right now is consisting of left shot defensemen. Gustav Forsling, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Mikko Mikkola are playing on the left side. The lefties are playing on the right side are Josh Mahura, Dmitry Kulikov, and Mike Riley. That's not ideal if you want to get a fully healthy defensive core because an entire D core based on all lefties, that's unheard of in my opinion.
I don't want to be rude, but when you're throwing all those names out to me, and I know that they're in the NHL for a reason, I feel like the Florida Panthers might be depending on some AHL help from the names that you've thrown out.
Oh, I know Kulikov is technically in his second stint with the Panthers, but it feels like this is not the Kulikov that they were used to seeing back in his first stint. As for Riley, he was underrated with Boston, didn't get a lot of playing time, but eventually he fell out of favor to Derek Forbert.
Right.
Because Forbert, he was providing more of that shot blocking type on his own end. Now Riley gets a shot in Florida, and even though he's not going to be a top two pairing defenseman, he's still going to be serviceable to an extent.
So let me ask you, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look through the grand total of teams. I'm just scrolling through on ESPN as we're in the middle of our second intermission coverage. I liked the Dallas Stars last year, and I know they gave Vegas pretty much everything they could handle. Look, the Jimmy Benn situation was ugly, and maybe this doesn't happen for Dallas until Tyler Seguin and Jimmy Benn come off the books. And if it does for Jim Nill in a couple of years, like it will, that's almost $10 million per on both of those sides. But we'll get to that when we come to it. But right now, as I ask you, do you think the Dallas Stars are a top 5 team in the NHL?
I believe they are, with how the roster is constructed. The talent that's up and down for the lineup, even though they've lost Colin Miller via trade with the New Jersey Devils, they didn't really lose much because they added for the offseason and bringing in Matt Duchene, Craig Smith, Sam Steele, and Duchene, he's still a top 6 forward. You remember he had 86 points in 2022 with the Nashville Predators, which has me surprised that he got bought out by Nashville in the first place. I'm guessing they were trying to emphasize a more defensive identity as they have been throughout their team's history. Duchene, he can help bring in that offense to a Dallas team that's been emphasizing offense throughout the last few years, including last year when they broke through and made it to the conference finals. My only question is Peter DeBoer. Can he adjust his strategies to his opponents and not stick with the same thing come playoff time? Because that was my problem with him throughout all these years that he was the head coach. Whether it be New Jersey, San Jose, or Vegas.
And you are not the only one that's been very vocal about that. I was not. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I was wrong. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I understand he had to change some things from Rick Bowness. But I also will say this. Rick Bowness did not inherit the team that Peter DeBoer had.
Definitely did not. When you look back at Rick Bowness and his tenure, this was more of a defensive-minded Stars team. Now with DeBoer, it is an offensive-minded Stars team. You look back at the Stanley Cup run, of course you had Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Joe Pavelski, Miro Heiskanen, and Jake Ottinger was a backup to Anton Khudobin being the holdovers of that Stars team. You no longer have Alexander Radulov, you don't have Matthias Janmark, but you still have Radek Faksa, who's serviceable at the fourth line. Now you have Jason Roberts on a full-time basis. Rope Henson was in that 2020 Stars team, even though he wasn't the first-line center back then. Now he is. Pavelski now has that chemistry with Hicks and Robertson. And not to mention about this defensive core, even though Essa Lindell, he was with John Klingberg. You don't have Klingberg anymore. And Klingberg, he's getting on some sort of a downward track in his offensive output, but he can still contribute on offense. You don't have him, but still, this is a good team that can score at will on offense now with DeBoer. Stanley Cup Finals could be in consideration. The only question is, once again, DeBoer, if he can adjust. My pick for the Stanley Cup Finals, I'm going to get this out of the way.
Okay.
I have the New Jersey Devils defeating the Dallas Stars in 6 games.
Holy cow, because you walked right into this. I had this on the brain. I was going to say, do you think that the New Jersey Devils are for real? And you're all in on that.
I have bought into the idea of the Devils being for real. I feel that last season, it's not. I don't feel it's a flash in the pan. I feel that this is a sign of what is to come down the road. All this core. Now that you have Tyler Toffoli in the helm and Alex Holtz coming into a full-time role, this Devils team may be destined for Lord Stanley if they pick this up. The question is, Akira Schmid, if he keeps this up from last year on that unbelievable run, and I think he can.
Well, that certainly answers my question. Then I don't even have to ask it because I was going to ask if the Devils are a top 5 team. You got them going the whole way. I'm going to have a little bit reservation. I know when I asked Cooper this on that side, he had them in the top 10. I had them in the top 5. You have them going the whole way. I have Dallas in the top 5 as well. So I feel like the Dallas thing, we're in lockstep. New Jersey, I just want to wait a little bit. I'm still hesitant on Timo Meier, not because I don't think he's a great player, but I know they had to trade a lot to be able to go ahead and get him. I'm not saying it's the wrong move. I just want to see. And on the other end, like you said, for Akira Schmid and Vitek Vanacek, I think a 1A, 1B situation is great. And they really believe that Schmid's going to be the goaltender of the future. And I have no reason to disagree with that. I just want to know if now you don't have Thomas Tatar, but you do have Jonas Siegenthaler, who's been one of the best defensemen all year. You got 2 of the Hughes brothers. You know, Quinn's going to be stuck there in Vancouver now. He'll probably be the next captaincy. But, I mean, yeah, New Jersey's a great team. But to have them locked in all the way, I will give you full marks. And if you get it wrong, I won't hold you to it. But I'll definitely say that New Jersey wins a couple rounds because I'd be shocked if they didn't. And now they also got Tyler Toffoli.
Yeah, even if it comes to the expense of Ryan Graves, this is still a top 5 team, and I believe they can go all the way with Lindy Ruff as the bench boss.
I do want to mention this very quickly, just so we can laugh when we get into the play-by-play. You know, EA doesn't have the ratings correct as this puck gets iced, but they had John Klingberg at 90 defensive awareness. That is completely wrong.
Oh, I know Klingberg, he's not what he used to be in Dallas, but 90 defensive awareness for someone whose defensive game basically has fallen off a cliff.
Right.
Yeah, that's wrong.
That is wrong. You don't have enough sliders to correct the right stats. That's why we need other companies like 2K and whatever else to figure that out. You might not like all their games, but competition is good. So that's what we need right now. We need some competition in this game right now. Seattle is able to fight their way with a Jared McCann goal that stopped the three unanswered for Vegas, but now Pietrangelo. He's got it. They'll fire at the net. This one gets deflected just wide, but Jonathan Marchessault has it now for Barbashev. Touch pass, Eichel. Barbashev wide open, doesn't shoot. It leaves it for Pietrangelo instead. That allowed Grubauer to recover with the left pad. That's a curious decision, but this will be recollected now by them. Here's a wicked slap shot. This one will stay in play near the left side of the glass. And now Pietrangelo near the left side circle. It's Eichel back for Pietrangelo. And this is deflected right in the glove hand of Grubauer.
I want to go back to a comparison that you made about home run hirings as the bench boss. Bruce Cassidy, Bruce Bochy, between the Golden Knights and Texas Rangers, those were home run hirings, and now the Golden Knights, they won a Stanley Cup. The Rangers finding themselves at the ALCS against either Houston or Minnesota. These two teams getting set up for success down the road with these bench bosses.
Yeah, when I think about guys like Bruce Cassidy and Bruce Bochy there for the Texas Rangers, we talk about home run hires. I mean, that is take it to the bank, cash in the large checks that you get at Publishers Clearinghouse. I don't know how else to say it on that end, as this is recollected now off the faceoff win. Seattle able to get one of the few of those. 34 1-2 when leading up to the second period is Vegas. Again, that tells you everything you need to know. Even if you don't listen to our play-by-play today, you can just throw that stat out there, and you know it's a formality. So if you're trying to bet for Vegas on that side, you're probably not going to make a lot of money unless you do it on the forefront. That's what that tells you. As this goes across the Golden Knights logo, and then recollected by Seattle. Played in off the backhand for Larson, and they'll bobble this one ad for Vince Dunn. Almost intercepted there for Vegas off of a long stretch pass opportunity, but this is recollected now for Cotter off the backhand as he'll safely put this one ahead, but Matty Beniers will get the interception. Don't know why that pass was thrown, but Beniers has it. He'll just take a check, throw it in, and Burakovsky will be the first to get to it now. Again, it's just good to see him back out on the ice. I think he's going to need a few more games to get his skating legs underneath him, but Andre Burakovsky, make no mistake about it, could be a first or second line mainstay. He can score a lot of goals. And alongside getting Jared McCann back healthy, who scored 40 goals, Seattle's still a dangerous team. Brutal turnover, blocked up in the air, but Vegas can't get a stick on it. That could have absolutely been another goal. And as far as almost chances for goals, Vegas could easily be in double digits, but it's 3-1. Now dropped off by Wenberg, fired wide. As Seattle will try to get to it, but the Mustard Gold will recollect. And now a semi-breakaway opportunity. Carlson will fire. This goes off of a blocker. Philip Grubauer near the left side. Seattle will try to reconstruct their attack here. Burakovsky gives it here for Matty Beniers off the backhand. Nice stutter step, gains the entry, trying to protect the puck. Working around the inboards here, but he's been covered by Golden Knights. Nice keep in by Seattle, though, for Jamie Alexiak, using that long reach at 6'6". Pietrangelo for the back around for Nick Hague. Already mentioned his name a couple times because I feel like he's been getting better and better. Barbashev, Eichel, in full flight, stops near the right side dot. He's got it, gives it back to the defense. Quick fire, goes off the stick of Grubauer, but Marchessault, first to get to it. He just flutters it toward the net. Hague lets it go. This one goes away from the right side of the bar. And now this is tapped up in the air by a couple sticks. Who's going to emerge with it? Seattle will use it as an essential clear, and both teams will go ahead and take a change quickly. Marchessault tries to catch Seattle off guard as Yanni Gourde will shovel this around the inboards here. Jack Eichel will fire it back in as this will work around the inboards one more time. 16:05 left to go on the third. John here with you on play-by-play alongside Alec Nava, who I'm very thankful to have here on this nightcap of the 23-24 opening night. We're going to be working a lot together as far as the game of the week throughout the year. We'll take a break through the World Series and then we'll get back to it again. So it'll be a lot of work here for us. And the next through the summer side of it, even into the playoffs. Sent back around now, Nick Waugh tried to get through some contact. As now Cotter will find it. Waugh able to keep it alive, the fourth line side for Bruce Cassidy's squad. Alex Weinberg will fight through a couple of contacts here and reset it down here for Larson. Vince Dunn. Here's a pass into the red line now. This is going to be shoveled right toward the left side. It's going to fake it and around the net. Here's a slap shot blocked once more time by Vegas. Very good at that. They led the NHL in blocks last season. Jaden Shorts funnel this around the inboards now. Keep it along the blue line for Larson. Dunn into the traffic, and Aiden Hill will stop with the glove hand and get some stick taps.
You mentioned about the shot blocks that Vegas had all through last season about would it be Alec Martinez or Zach Whitecloud. They're not playing tonight, but they showed how tough warriors that they are up at their own end at the blue line. Whitecloud being that mainstay as a stay-at-home defenseman. And he did chime in with some huge goals for the Golden Knights during their run to the Stanley Cup. So he can chap in with that offensive potential that he has there, but he's supposed to be a defensive guy. And even though they won't have him for these first few games, it shows how deep this Golden Knights team is on the defensive side.
Absolutely, Alec. They're not missing a beat. And again, we talk about Seattle. They're as good of a team as many that we have in the league right now. I mean, again, 7 games against the Dallas Stars. If it wasn't for a Wyatt Johnston breakaway, they could have taken out Colorado and Dallas. They were that close. As this is McCann now. He gets upended. He kind of got slew-footed there, but more of an accident. No penalty. As this is sent back now toward the right side red line. Seattle starting to buzz here. Matty Beniers will get this one D to D. Schultz. Here it's fired into the middle of the circles, and Aiden Hill will hold on.
You can see Seattle is starting to sense that desperation right into their eyes, that hunger for that second and third goals that they're looking for. Jared McCann takes that one-timer right to high slots. Aiden Hill saw it, took care of business there. Seattle's is still trying to find their way back in this game. Just have to see if they can get those 2 goals.
I agree. And again, I'll just say the prognostication is this for Seattle. I know it's 3-1. They've had times where they have pressed the play, but I do think, to your point, Alec, what you just spoke about, the depth has shown through for Vegas, and they are taking advantage of Seattle when they find the situations. Here's Larson with a drive, and this one goes wide. Seattle able to win another faceoff. They're not particularly good at that, but they've played about 50-50 at this point right now. Weinberg now near the wall, but Vegas right there to clean it up. Here's a chance for William Karlsson now, 1-on-3, trying to buy some time, protect the puck. This will go back, and now stolen. Here's a great opportunity that was blocked in front by Seattle before it ever got to Grubauer. That almost turned into a disaster as this is picked up near the red line now. And bumped up hard is one of the Brandon Tanev. Man, has he had a tough game.
Ooh, that did not look good. And a penalty is going to be called here. Boy, he is down the ice in a lot of pain. He's on his knees, being looked at by the training staff and one of the referees in this game. One of his teammates is going to help him out here. He's down, he's not getting up, but he is moving. So there may be sort of something, but he is shaken up.
I want to see on the secondary look. He's one of those heart and soul type guys. I definitely agree with Bob Wischusen on that side. We definitely know about that with his speed and everything that he can bring. I want to see when they show the replay what exactly happened at center ice that forced him to fall down a little bit toward his backside, but he is definitely in some discomfort right now.
He's in some discomfort, and he's being looked at. So they're going to review for a potential penalty if it's 5 or 2, because there is contact. He's getting up with some help from the trainer. He got hit by Brett Howden. That was a hit up high. Looks like an illegal check to the head.
Well, thank you for that, because I know that you're ahead of me on this side. I'm going to get a chance to look at this replay now and give you my definitive thoughts. Ooh, that looks like a back-to-back headbutt.
So the headbutt. You see the shoulder above the head being the principal point of contact. So it's one of those lengthy reviews. You remember about where the head is going to be the principal point
Right.
And that's going to be the main discussion of such a play. See, such infamous hits about the head, where's the principal point of contact? Because when I think of checks to the head, I immediately think Rafi Torres' hit on Marian Hossa. That was ugly. That was intentional. But we'll see if there was any intention from Brett Howden and how much this was attested to. But there was no reaction to the play where if this was intentional or accidental on Howden's part.
That's what I'm thinking about. As far as your explanation, it was perfect. And again, whether you want to read intent and whether or not that matters in their call, I think it's something that they don't really call on the NHL review inside of it. They don't really care about intent. If it's a hit to the head, they have an opportunity to either toss somebody out and we'll see what happens. But as far as my first look for Howden on the side for Tanev, that looked like a pure accident. That didn't look like anything that was egregious, but it's a hit to the head and it's a heavy one and it hurt Tanev. And considering how hurt he is, I could see this being a major penalty.
It looks like it. So it seems they're going to look at a match penalty and game misconduct being in play here for Brett Howden. But see,
oh man,
did he lift that shoulder up on Tanev?
The second look that I got here from the full speed looks worse. I'll admit to you on that.
It looks a lot worse. It feels a lot worse because of the hit to the head on Tanev. There's no excuse for that if it's intentional. None.
So Howden's coming across near the middle of the Golden Knights logo. Looks like he's going in full speed. I'm not going to say he turns the head into Tanev. I think that's too risky for me to say that. But there's definite contact, and it's definitely hard. And I can see why Tanev is very shaken up. And if the refs want to take this as a match penalty and a misconduct, I can't blame them.
Can't be neither, and they're going to rule it as such.
Wow, a 5-minute major. Seattle back on the power play. This is an opportunity, Alec. They got to score at least one.
Yeah, not just one, two, if they were to send this to overtime, and then possibly another if they were to win it.
There is drowning pool traffic, bodies everywhere in the paint, and this one is cleared down the ice. There was no room for that. It seemed like as soon as Eberle's shot went, it was just a commune right in front of the net there for Adin Hill. Here comes Beniers now. All of a sudden, a 5-minute power play, but hopefully you wait word of Brandon Tanev. He might have to go in concussion protocol. That was definitely a hard hit. McCann's got one. He wants another, but Adin Hill says no.
I would have blamed them if they were to look at Brandon Tanev and examine him if he's all right. If he goes to concussion protocol, I wouldn't even be mad at that decision.
No.
Because, boy, that is a terrible hit. And there's no place for such an intentional hit to the head. Possibly the NHL Department of Player Safety may be knocking on Howden's doorstep.
I don't even think you're completely out of the realm of possibility on that. I'm not going to go one way or the other because it does look bad, but I can certainly see that being a point of contention. So I won't even rule that out. I can just tell you this. Not only was it a hit to the head, but once Tanev fell down, he also made contact in the back of the head as he hit the ice. So not good at all. So we might see Tanev miss multiple games at this point because Seattle's going to play in, again, a couple of nights. I wouldn't imagine he'd be ready to go that soon. But as we're in the middle of action now, 4 minutes left to go. It's a turnover from Yamamoto. Carlson will buy more time. Again, it's a 5-minute major. Carlson driving his way to the net, but he's canceled off by Jaden Shorts. Oliver Bjorkstrand has it now. They'll leave it here for Vince Dunn. We'll see if Dave Hakstol's squad can get their lines situated. Again, they are one forward down. This probably won't affect them on the power play, but it will affect them for the rest of this game. Bjorkstrand trying to keep this alive for Vince Dunn. They'll just grab a backhand and shovel this back around to the left side red line. Tolvanen will pinch in behind the net. It's Yamamoto. Bjorkstrand now for Vince Dunn. Away Tolvanen. He'll walk in, but he'll get this pocket picked. And now it's a 1-on-2 maybe. Here's a pass across. This is a diving shot block for Vince Dunn. Might have partially stopped the puck from getting there. And now Jaden Shorts drop pass. Has to recollect for Jordan Eberle. Eberle lost it. Chandler Stevenson is there. These defensive forwards for Vegas, they do not make life easy. As Chandler Stevenson stopping Seattle from making anything happen. And other than the first 15 seconds of this 5-minute power play, it's been pretty quiet. Tristan Schultz, now for Matty Beniers. He's back in his defensive zone, working his way into the offensive end. Drops it for Eberle near the left side circle. Schultz, stutter step for Burakovsky, lets it go. This one goes up and over the glass and out of play.
So what we're seeing from Vegas is still that they are a defensively stout team. They're not getting bothered by the max penalty by Brett Howden. So even though he's gone for this game, they're not showing any sort of fear in their eyes, even for this 5-minute power play on Seattle.
They are playing the same way as you just talked about, Alec, as if they were a man up, a man even, or a man down. And again, that's full marks to me, not only for this veteran-laden Stanley Cup team, but Bruce Cassidy as well. I give him a gold star for the Golden Knights, and yes, that's pun intended. 2:30 left to go here in the Seattle 5-minute advantage. I don't even think they have a shot just yet. Their face-off totals aren't so bad. They're down 23-16. They're usually down double digits on that side. But they got to get something going. Braden McNabb, shot block clear attempt is kept in by Seattle, but now they'll shovel this out of the left side blue line. So nothing doing right now, and they've really got to get something going. Seattle's at the point where they got to score in the next 5 minutes if you want to cut it into halves here. That's what they're looking for. You know, they can quick strike. Here's Beniers and Dunn. This shot goes up the left side of the glass. That wrist shot sounded loud. McCann will drop it back. Burakovsky, Beniers. He'll play the D side. He'll make a pass across for Dunn. He's the forward at this point right now, but it's picked off by Carlson again. Is he even taking a change? Carlson will take a saucer pass. This is a nice stick lift, but Vegas will put this back down. They'll get their puck possession. Seattle has had about 3 minutes and 30 seconds of time where they've had a man advantage and got nothing. As Grubauer sends it back down for Dunn. Dunn will recollect this here from Phillip, and he'll be patient. Send it back down for Kartye Yamamoto. I have to say this honestly. I know it's just game one. I kind of wonder how much power play time Kartye Yamamoto will get going forward. Don't know if that's the answer just yet for a replacement for Sprong, as this falls back to Hill and we get a little bit of pushing.
Yeah, I wondered too about the power play time from Yamamoto. We all know about Daniel Sprong's heavy wrister that he provides with Seattle. Now Detroit, and now Yamamoto being a replacement for him. Of course, there's some time in Edmonton. We'll see how much of an impact player he is with Seattle. Now that he's going from second liner to fourth liner, who can contribute on the power play.
I know he's been a career Coachella Valley Firebird at this point, but Cole Lind has gotten a ton of points. That wouldn't surprise me. I know Riker Evans would surprise me, the defenseman who's 19. I think he's going to need some seasoning. But Ty Kartye is not in the lineup today, and that would be somebody that I would expect to get some of this time here, my friend.
Yeah, I would expect Ty Kartye to be part of the lineup if Brandon Tanev were to make some extended time. So if Tanev is going to be out for an extended period of time, I would not be surprised if Kartye is inserted into the lineup to take Tanev's spot at the left wing side on the fourth line.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth on this Seattle squad now, but again, there's a lot of depth on the Vegas squad, as we talked about. Vegas, in less than 10 minutes here from their first win of the season on their banner night, and they've looked really impressive. That's all you can say right now. Alex Wenberg trying to gain the entry. Seattle on their 5-minute power play, they finally got a shot on Eden Hill. But, I mean, the rest of this, it's been window dressing at this point. Burakovsky in the middle of the ice now for Yanni Gourde. He'll stop near the right side of the faceoff dot lead for Larson. Now Andre's got it. He'll be patient. Larson with a clapper. This is almost goes behind Hill, but a kick save and a beauty. As this is picked up here for Gourde. Everybody's standing now at the 5-minute major kill, and I don't blame them as they're waving the towels here. And now we get another call. This is interference.
Against Jared McCann, it's going to be cross-checking. Yeah, that's William Karlsson that he shoved his eye along for the boards. Nick Hague did not like that. Took exception to it. I don't blame him. And now Vegas going back to the power play, and everyone on their feet as Vegas kills off a crucial penalty kill that took 5 minutes. So it felt like more than 5 minutes.
It did, and now that I get the look of that, not only was Carlson taken down by McCann, but then a late cross check at the end. That's just not smart.
No, not at all. Bad penalty to take if you're Jared McCann. 40 goal scorer, looking to build out that season, and it's the last thing you want to take.
Yeah, you have a 5-minute power play. You think you have to score, and then right after that, Vegas goes on the power play. So I guess it just goes without saying here. I know it's just night one, and again, we both think that Vegas and Seattle will be playoff teams. I won't march away from that. But this is a little bit of a lesson here that we've seen on night one, and I don't think either one of us are surprised.
We're not surprised about this outing of how Vegas has been holding up. I know Seattle in their first ever NHL game with Ryan Donato scoring the first goal in Seattle Kraken franchise history. They made a game back then, but this looks very different because Vegas is showing what they really are, and Seattle, even though they're giving Vegas everything they can, especially in that first period when they had the first 5 shots of this game, it's been all Vegas, everything else, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The only thing I think for Vegas on that side, again, Aiden Hill's the number one goaltender, especially from the playoff side. I don't think you take that away from him. But I also think if you're Vegas, after the next few games, you're going to get back some of your defensive core, as we talked about with Alec Martinez. But you know what? I think it's a good problem to have. I would expect Logan Thompson. You got 82 games in the season. I think Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill, in a perfect world, you'd split it in 41 games. I think maybe that's what they're probably going to do this year. They're going to split time pretty good.
That's what I would go if I'm the Vegas Golden Knights and Bruce Cassidy, as it being a 1A, 1B tandem. In a perfect world, yeah, they go 1A, 1B, because these two have been so reliable for them, and with how Aiden Hill did in the playoffs,
right?
Some of us forget how Logan Thompson did that season before he got knocked out for the year.
Yeah, he was an all-star. So
yeah.
It's an embarrassment of riches to have. And again, Logan Thompson had to deal with some of that stuff back then because, you had Robin Leonard and Marc-Andre Fleury. He didn't really get his time. And then when he finally did, he shined. And then, oh, by the way, you get the journeyman Aiden Hill, who absolutely shine when you have to, especially in the Stanley Cup Finals. So now Vegas is on the power play. This can essentially be a kill shot here because they're already up 3-1. They're 0 for 2 in this game with 3 shots. Again, both of these power plays could use a little bit of work in the regular season, but in the playoffs, I mean, you could talk about with the Edmonton Oilers being the best power play in the entire world, especially in the playoff side setting records, but Vegas did the same things. Chandler Stevenson stone, and he missed the net. That was as open as you like.
Oh, man. He all sorts today like a fire at that open net on this power play to try and put the Kraken away for good.
So Stone and Marchessault, Stevenson, all the usual contributors here are doing their job. I would give them an A+ in this first game. I know that might seem like a kind grade, but I really don't know what else to say at this point. And this gets blocked off with Stevenson after Stone inadvertently fired at him.
Yeah, you go back to the Stone miss chance. He had an open net to his right. It was looking far side. I think he was trying to be too perfect with the shots. And was overthinking the shots.
Man, that is as you said, wide open cage, whether it's top left, top right, bottom right, pick your corner and just shoot it, my friend.
Just shoot it. I mean, you have all day. Don't overthink it.
So Barbashev now will get this off of the Vegas faceoff win. Sent back down the ice for Aiden Hill. Just 1 assist and 1 shot for 16 minutes of ice time for the Vegas captaincy again for Mark Stone. Just happy to see he recovered a little bit from the back issues, but I know those can be very lingering on that side. So hopefully everything will be squared away, and hopefully everything's squared away from Eichel's neck fusion side. It certainly seems that is the case. Nick Waugh, drop past Barbashev. Barbashev has been brilliant in this game. He's picked up right where he's left off. Pietrangelo now for Ivan Barbashev. Back to Alex. Let's go back to Ivan. He'll spin around the net. If he gets hounded by Larson, still keep it alive for Pietrangelo. This will go across to Ben Hutton. Hutton now. Leave it in for Carlson. Now on the high slide for Hutton as this continues to move beautifully. Pietrangelo, slap shot gets blocked. This will fall right back to him. Barbashev, give and go play. That one will go wide. As this will be picked up off the air for a glove have of Yanni Gourde. But here's Barbashev. And behind the net, here's a slapper. and this one is blocked before it ever hit Grubauer. I mean, Vegas, you could talk about tic-tac-toe passing. On their power play, Alec, it's about 7 or 8 passes before anything ever happens. Hill gets knocked down from behind the net, but play is still alive. Matty Beniers can't hold it in the zone as Seattle and Dave Hakstol's squad will have to check back up. Here's a good outstretched pass, Beniers! And he gets canceled off by Hill. That was his best chance. As this is picked up on the net, Beniers, great pass across, and Hill slides and makes the save on Eberle.
Oh, I'm just saying, Aiden Hill still picking up what he left off in the playoffs. 2 great saves on Matty Beniers when he was involved on those shots. And that last one, that was the thing of it. He was sliding right out to glove it right through. I mean, that was several inches away from crossing the red line.
Alec, I thought everybody wasn't supposed to be in prime form in game 1, but they are right now.
Yeah, .932 save percentage throughout the postseason last year. That's the 5th highest in NHL history in your first ever playoffs.
That is as good as it gets. I mean, you can't say anything else. Aiden Hill, we know what it's all been about. He's getting his opportunity to play with a really good team, and he's doing everything on his own end to make sure that his team stays in contention and not only win, but absolutely dominate. He keeps it clean between the pipes. Burakovsky right in the middle, and a stick save by Aiden Hill as that was a quick developing play for Seattle. They're sensing the pressure of the moment, I can imagine, here with 5:35 left to go in the third. The quick strike action. Seattle has the shot board advantage now, 33-27. They've taken that back up, but Vegas still up 3-1. It's been the 3 unanswered goals that have stood the test of time before the Jared McCann opportunity. And now Bjorkstrand will lose it as this is recollected by Bjorkstrand again. And Tolvanen will spin back around. He'll try to locate it. And this is sent near the players' bench of Vegas.
So time becoming Seattle's enemy with 5:13 to go here in the third period. Now I know it's early in the season, but Seattle, they need to get these chances. I mean, they've had a lot of them. They just need to get a goal.
Yeah, they need to get a goal right now for this game to be able to bring that self-confidence in. I think they've played a good game, but you want to make sure that whatever happens, if you lose this one, I think if you're Seattle, clean up a little bit on defense. I know you had a bad luck play with Tanev, and I hope that he's okay and he'll bounce back in for a few games. But a little bit to clean up here, maybe for Grubauer, you kind of see the way that goes because, let's be honest, Joey Decord is the backup. I don't see him as a starter in any way, but that's a situation and a talking point that Seattle's going to have to continue to go over because if Seattle wants to get to where they want to get to this year, which is back into the playoffs, they need Philip Grubauer to probably have maybe a 915, 920 save percentage.
They have to. 915 at the minimum because if you look at Grubauer in his time with Seattle, you think of him being below 900 in those 2 years there.
Right.
It's not the Grubauer they want to have. They want to have at least 915 from Grubauer. They want to go somewhere in the postseason and steal a series or 2 if they were to go deep.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the ceiling, but I think you're right. I think a series or 2 is probably where I would put Seattle. I know some of the losses are small with Susie and Sprong, but those are still losses. I mean, Seattle really hasn't replaced anything. I understand Brian Dumoulin, but I don't see any major additions for this squad. I see mostly the same team that we saw last year. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would because the fourth line is relatively unchanged for the most part, even though they got 2 new guys down on that fourth line. Tyler Yamamoto makes me another version of Daniel Sprong, and Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, an older version of Ryan Donato.
Yeah, I think we're in complete agreement with that side. The only thing left now is to figure out what happens in the last 5 minutes. Right now, it doesn't certainly feel like there's going to be a comeback like we had in game number 2, but this has been a lot of fun nonetheless. Again, thank you, Alec, for joining me in on this one. It's been a lot of fun. As Schultz will pick this back up. Now, Jared McCann's got the only goal here, but this pass gets picked off. Nick Waugh is going to be able to buy some time. And now some outstretched sticks here. Keegan Kolsar trying to work his way in behind the net as this is Waugh. Send it back here for the defense here in Theodore. He'll fire amongst the traffic. This bounced in front of Grubauer, but recollected here for Jordan Eberle. First line back out there right now. And Matty Beniers will try to get this going left to right as Eberle will touch, lead for his defense. They might take a change nonetheless, as you see Jaden Shorts out there for Dave Hakstol's squad. So it's Larson and Dunn as they'll get this across the Golden Knights logo. Bjorkstrand lost it with Winberg, and now Marchessault trying to body off, keeps it alive, like the unstoppable force there as he sent this back around there for Haig. Put this near the left side dot, and Vegas doing exactly what they need to do right now. They're up by 2. They're just killing time and being smart here. Seattle's the one that's got to press, and Vegas can kind of play that trap. You don't let Seattle get comfortable. Here's an opportunity for Shorts, and what a back check there for Jack Eichel, as that was just perfect. Here's a stick up in the face. This is going to go against Seattle.
Oh, penalties, man. Penalties. The very last thing that your team wants to commit when you're down by 2. It's the very last thing that you ever want to do, and that caught Nick Hague up high. I thought this was going to be 4, but it's 2.
No blood from what I saw, but it definitely hit him up in the nose. And yeah, it caught him either on the side of the nose or the side of the ear. Luckily, they wear the guards nowadays.
Yeah, good thing that they have the rule of visors being a must.
We're going to get some of that. We're going to check his chiclets as well. So Vegas back to the power play. It's Theodore now for Eichel. Back here for Shea, so crisscross the defense. It's Marceau out there. So you got 4 forwards and 1 defenseman. It's usually customary on the power play. Stone, try to go ahead and find this with the captaincy now for Theodore. Try to get it back here for Mark. And now Jack Eichel will send it back around. Stevenson, no one. Great passing. And this one goes wide over the glass for Marceau, but it stays in at the top of the glass. Now Eichel, try to go ahead and recollect this puck movement on the power play. I know they haven't scored a ton, Alec, but again, I'm seeing 6, 7, 8 passes before letting a shot go. This does look like a little bit of prime form.
It does. It's a beautiful passing play on that sequence. Even though it didn't result in a goal, I'm just in awe of this passing sequence from the Vegas Golden Knights. Even though they fired a shot wide, this is what it's needed for a power play to be successful.
Yeah, they look comfortable. You don't always score all the time, but Vegas has looked like whatever they've wanted to execute today on the banner night and opening night, they've taken their regular season form, preseason. I don't care what it is. You flush it right down the toilet. This looks like Stanley Cup form right now. And I'm trying not to be hyperbolic, but they have looked good. I know penalties aside for both teams. Can't play a perfect game, but this has been damn near flawless. Ben Hutton now from Barbashev. And so get this here for Carlson. Dumoulin trying to get it out. Barbashev behind the net. This will go D to D near the right side. Pietrangelo set it down for Hutton. Hutton now left side for Carlson near the left side red line. Back for Ben Hutton now. Alex Pietrangelo, former Blues captain. Here's a long shot attempt. I thought he would get it back to Carlson. Stick is knocked out of the air of one of the Seattle Kraken, I believe. Backhanded move. Carlson gets knocked down to his heavily padded wallet. And this will be now a bank clear for Seattle. And they'll flip it down. It's been a fast-moving game. Again, this is just night 1. I'm glad to be back here on the call with you alongside Alec Nava. 1:40 left to go in the third. Certainly seems like Vegas is going to take this first game. And again, no shots since 14-11 of the third. It's the second time that Vegas has had a long stint of situations where no shots, and now an empty net opportunity goes wide. It'll be iced, and now Seattle has extra attacker down 2 goals with 1:26.
And I know that the Golden Knights, they have not shot a lot for the second time that they've had such an 11-plus minute stretch of not having a lot of shots on goal. But they're sitting comfortably defending because that's a Bruce Cassidy staple. Defense being of utmost importance.
And again, Alec, even with these long stretch of shots, I feel like through this play-by-play, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it still feels like Vegas is dangerous.
Yeah.
1:15 left to go in the third. Speaking of danger, empty net opportunity, and it's 4-1 salted away on banner night. Jack Eichel gets the goal.
There's the jackpot that you've been looking for, Vegas. The banner night victory and the title defense starting to perfection here. for the Vegas Golden Knights, playing an all-around great game from the start of the first period, even though they have had two such instances of 12-plus minutes without a shot on goal. They sat back, defended well, and shut down the Seattle Kraken. You mark this one down, writing the victory books for Vegas. 1 minute to go.
Gotta tell you, with all the favorites we talked about them between Dallas, Colorado, New Jersey, Edmonton, we talked about the cup odds in the third period side of the second game. I think Vegas is a little bit too low at plus 1,600. I know it's just game one. And for Jack Eichel trade, every single game that I watch Vegas as we continue along, my friend, that just looks better and better. Cash the ticket.
Very much. With Eichel fitting seamlessly on that first line and forming that chemistry with Martian. So that is a 1-2 punch for the Golden Knights.
35 seconds left to go in a game that's felt academic at times. And that is with several Seattle pushes. But Aiden Hill, he played just as good as he's always played in the playoff side of it. And a comfortable 4-1 victory as it stands right now with 20 seconds left for Vegas. This has been a lot of fun, my friend, on night one. And again, I'm not surprised as we get an ice, but dare I say it, is domination the right word? Because it certainly feels like it.
It doesn't really show on the stat sheet, but with how the Golden Knights have controlled the play, they got the Kraken to be nervous there.
Yeah.
With the Kraken, even though they've been out shooting the Golden Knights, shots on goal can be a little funny, and they can be a little misleading to how the game was played, because this was definitely a Golden Knights style win.
Down to 5 seconds. Seattle has it in their own end, and the fans that are still remaining here at T-Mobile Arena, man, they were treated as something, and I'm very jealous. It's a 4-1 win of the two expansion teams on banner night in Las Vegas, Nevada. John Andre with you alongside Alec Nava. 4-1 victory for Vegas. This was a lot of fun, my friend, as we get a look at the cheerleaders in the Fortress. Do you have any other final thoughts before we close it out?
You know, going back to when the Las Vegas Raiders hosted the Green Bay Packers, the Golden Knights, they were in the house showing the Stanley Cup. I think the Raiders, they must be smiling happily knowing that the defending champions, they got to win, not only to start the new year, but for the city of Las Vegas as well, as they kick off their title defense. And with the Las Vegas potentially getting the Athletics probably starting next season, depending on the stadium construction, perhaps we could see Las Vegas, perhaps a new renaissance in Las Vegas sports. There's the Aces, and they're doing pretty good in the WNBA. I mean, they're a super team over there. But to take away from this, the Golden Knights, they are showing that they're still here, and they will be here to stay for a while.
Yeah, they might be the team of Vegas right now, but as you said, a lot more teams, and even looking at a possible NBA expansion, I think Vegas is as good as bet as any to do that as well. This was a lot of fun, my friend. We will be in contact as far as next week. I know we'll be doing Game of the Week stuff, and I think you and I, if you're open to it, you're going to be my first at-hand selection if you want to cover the World Series together.
Hey, I'd be more than happy to have this covered. Perhaps a three-man booth could be in the equation between us two and Cooper.
No doubt about it. I would definitely make sure that you're going to get in on there and do the call with me, because I know he doesn't do all those games, but I would be down to do that as well. So we'll pretty much be 1A, 1B as far as the World Series side of it. But as far as our Game of the Week stuff, we'll definitely get that squared away. And then after the World Series is done, I think you and I will at least get once a week on that side. I'm looking forward to the full year and the playoff side of it, because it's a pleasure to work with you, my friend, and I hope we can do this again soon.
Let's do this hockey, and hope to do this again further down the road.
Sounds good, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Good night, everyone.
None of that matters when you're on the verge of getting swept by the Rangers in the postseason. 40,000.